Hello, my beautiful audience. Welcome back to another episode of Pop Talk. I'm your host, Cody McDonald, and I'm only joined today by one individual. It's kind of nice, because this whole season, I don't know if it's been... Well, I don't even know. I was about to say I don't know if it's working out, but sure, it's been working out. It's just been kind of a handful right now. I like to go back to simplicity and just have one guest. I got back on the table again, Troy Faubert.
Hi.
You're on the table. Oh shit, wait, no, you're at the table. You're not on my table.
I mean, why would I be on your table?
To pose?
Unless I was on your table, like, fucking a pie like Jason Biggs did it. American Pie. I don't know why my mind drifted there, but when I think of someone on your table, that's the first thing I think of is Jason Biggs fucking a pie on your table.
It's okay, we'll tell Mom we ate it.
Yeah, just have to tell her we ate it all.
Yeah, that you're like the first solo guest to be on my show for a while, but hey, this ain't too bad, whatever.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Cody. I've never seen it. I've never listened to any of your podcasts, so I didn't know you had...
I knew we were one person off, and it was you. Fuck.
Yes, it was me. I didn't know you had multiple guests. What's the most number of guests you've had on your podcast at one time?
So far this whole season, the whole second season, has just been like 2 people. I just stepped it up a notch.
Oh, so you just removed one person out of the equation.
Yeah,
here.
for this episode, I guess. I don't know.
Well, that's not huge. That's not a huge downgrade.
It's not a huge downgrade.
Or huge difference, but
I don't mind
whatever.
This. I don't mind this.
You seem to be very happy about this one person kind of guest thing, one guest
I'm excited.
thing. So I'll let you have that. Sure.
I'm actually more giddy about just like the past 2 weeks. Okay, I don't know if you knew. I know I haven't told you this. I haven't even told many people this. For the past couple of weeks, I've noticed I've had a miracle breakthrough. So before we get into the main topic tonight, I've had a miracle breakthrough with something.
Please do tell.
So as you know, I'm on my feet a lot when I work. I'm on my feet all day, and for the past the past few years, I've been noticing like I've had really actually bad foot odor. I know it's kind of like common, like just wash your feet, wash your shoes, whatever. Yeah, I've done all that, and it's still bad. Like, have you seen that episode of Seinfeld where Jerry had like the really smelly car, and no matter what he did to like try to like clean it out, it just always still smelled bad?
I vaguely remember that episode, but do go on.
It was exactly like that with my feet. Like, it was bad. I would shower, scrub them with like soap, and even just throw in some like shower gel that had really strong scents to it, right? Like, there was a lavender one, there was like an aloe one, and just like it would always still have like this bad odor afterwards, right? And I don't know what it was. Like, I would wash my feet, I would wash my shoes, and it would be totally fine. I don't know what the fuck it was about. I bought on Amazon this like really expensive spray. It was like a minty spray, and it said it was like, oh, this is like #1. You should try it out. It's a bestseller and all that shit. And like, it still didn't fucking work. And I said, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I'll be hanging out with Veronica, and I'd put my feet up, and she's smelling it, right? Even after I have a shower, there's a spot on the floor where where your feet would normally go, where the couch is to the coffee table. It was starting to smell on there because it's rubbing off. So my self-esteem for like a while, without even noticing it, has been kind of like bad. Anytime I go to like Pat's place, Kathy's place, like I'd literally be like scrubbing my feet or keeping my shoes on because I cannot stand the smell. Changing out of socks also didn't help. I forgot to add that. Yeah. So it got to a point that I was sort of like, I'm just going to fucking make an appointment with like my family doctor or foot doctor, something. Like, there must be some problem, right?
Sure.
But I said one more thing I'll do. One more thing I'll do, and if it doesn't work, then fuck it. I'm going straight to a doctor. This is not good. I heard from my Nana and Papa that my uncle also had really bad foot odor growing up.
So are you going to tell me it runs in the family?
No. It well, maybe after this story. Fuck.
I would hope not.
Well, because my uncle growing up played a lot of hockey, and he also had bad foot odor. I mean, naturally, whatever. He's playing a sport, but I'm just on my feet all day, like 8 hours a day.
Sure.
So he had this thing called like foot eaters, or no, it was called odor eaters. It was a foot eater.
Foot eaters.
It ate your feet.
Sounds like a knockoff of Tremors or something.
Like a direct-to-video thing.
Except it's like in the suburbs, and they're just worm creatures that go after your feet.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's like an Asylum movie of that already out there.
Oh, sure. I'm sure.
Or the Tremor series already went down that path. Who knows?
Or you know when a big film comes out and then there's a bunch of knockoffs that follow after it, like Jurassic Park inspired a bunch of dinosaur movies.
Dino Universe,
like Carnosaur. And maybe it's like Tremors, like big hit the box office. It's just like we're gonna. What else do we got?
But anyway, sorry, I was gonna say that it was called odor eaters. It was this foot powder that absorbs odor and sweat in like really hard to reach places. Like it looks like baking soda. You just like sprinkle it on.
Sure.
So I said, all right, I'll try that. Whatever. I was at Shoppers and I saw something similar. It was just Dr. Scholl's brand. I put it on the very first day, my work shoes, because I change into work shoes and then I change into my regular shoes afterwards. Went home that day. I put my feet right up into Veronica's face, and she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "Smell." She's like, "Okay." I'm like, "You smell anything?" She's like, "Holy fuck, I don't." I'm like, "It works." Like I solved a fucking like few-year-old problem with just this fucking foot odor. I don't smell anything, and I literally feel it in my feet. It doing the work. It's literally like it feels tingly. It's like literally absorbing the sweat as I'm walking, and it feels kind of cold at the same time. It's this cool sensation, and ever since I've tried it out, I've been noticing that like my feet actually feel a lot better just on floors. Like it doesn't feel as like kind of like dry as any like I don't know if that makes any sense. Like
I'm just trying to process all this. It's just like a run-on sentence.
Just run-on story.
Rambling non-stop.
My whole point is that I've been feeling a great lately on my feet, not having to feel embarrassed, even though having to come to your place.
So you're back on your feet?
I'm back on my feet again, ironically. Yeah.
Wait, so great. I need to ask, your friend, like, so your friends and like Veronica, they were smelled. They told you that your feet smelled too.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. Absolutely.
Okay, I didn't get that.
Oh,
part.
it was not only affecting my life; it was affecting other people's lives.
Oh, I thought you were just like embarrassed, like I just don't want.
No.
Maybe you're not saying anything.
No.
Because I'm like, one of the twists is you're the only one that could smell it, and then there was no one else thought anything was wrong.
Oh, that would have been funny. No, that would have been great.
I mean, that wouldn't have changed the fact that you still want to change it, because it's just like, well, even if others don't smell it, I smell it, and you don't want it. Yourself comes first, so I mean.
And I thought
good for you.
Yeah, I know. I thought at first it was like I tried some new insoles in my shoes. It's really good insole. It's called Easy Feet, and if you're on your feet all day, it's like these are the fucking brand I recommend. I'm not endorsed, but
You sound like you endorse.
I'm not endorsing, but I'm actually
Stupid
curious.
feet.
But I'm actually very curious since you work at home in a computer chair all day, is there like things that you sort of, do you find yourself uncomfortable sometimes if you're sitting down for that longest time, and especially staring at a screen? Like,
I mean, probably because my sweaty ass has sat in that chair for many hours, and I probably farted in it many times. It probably does reek, and I smell it from time to time. I also probably don't shower because I'm just like locked in my apartment all the time, so I'm like, if I'm not going out, why should I care,
True.
I mean, you could say I've kind of let myself go, but it's also like I let myself get comfortable with the dirtiness.
Well, no, the reason why I ask is that I have a friend who does work remotely right now, and he's been noticing that like his posture has been so bad because he's just been noticing he's been slouching a lot, like getting his head kind of down and not really.
Oh yeah,
kind of
like the back.
Straight. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Do you find yourself like?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's just like sometimes I'll just stand up and just like lean my back, like you kind of like it's kind of like you lean back far enough to kind of crack your back,
Yeah.
Just to like almost like straighten it out.
Do you stretch?
Not as much as I should, to be honest. I'm totally like, I know exercise is a really important thing. I just freaking hate exercising. I like when exercise is incorporated into an everyday thing I do.
Yeah.
Like if I was going to the office right now, every day, Monday to Friday, which I'm not right now, but if I was, I'd be walking, because it's part of what I have to do anyways. I have to walk to the office, or get on the subway, and then walk from the subway to the office, and it's an exercise that I'm getting without really acknowledging it as exercise. Like, it's just everyday things you do, and I like when exercise happens to be part of that, because it's just so much easier to get that exercise than whereas if I tell myself, oh, you know, after I've gotten up in the morning, that I'm like, oh, I have to, you know, get on the treadmill, whatever, then I think of it as exercise, and it feels like homework or like a real chore to me, and I don't enjoy it.
Exercise bikes could probably help. Just like,
well, I have an exercise bike in this room right now, and I was using it for a while, but you know what? I'll tell you, it takes so much time to get yourself in the habit of exercising, but it takes almost no time to completely fall off.
If you don't use that, side note, I could pay you. I can buy that off you if you want.
No, my mom wants it back.
Damn,
She's been hassling me about it.
Okay.
She probably would have came over here right now and dragged it away from me if she wasn't in Florida right now.
Fair enough, yeah. Well, there's another thing I remember seeing that, like, for people that have been working at home and, like, at an office, like, or they would be at an office, but they're at, like, their desk all the time staring at their screen, is that they use, like, an exercise ball and they sit on that. And apparently it not only straightens out your back, but you also get a bit of, like, a stretch right in your hamstrings. So it kind of feels like you're doing, like, crouches, but you're also, like, kind of working out the hips a bit, and also your kind of upper thighs almost. So I don't know, the bigger ball you get, I don't know if it's, like, going to fit at your desk, but
I think if you really, like, you have to really want to fix your posture, and really, you have to want these things in order to really want to actually, like, go as far as to get, like, a ball or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess it's just, like, I clearly don't want it bad enough. I just think, oh, if my back hurts, oh, just get up and just lean your back a bit and hope it'll
Stretch
crack.
out a bit, yeah.
I'm honestly, I'm not really a model. I'm not really a model person as far as, like, I wouldn't really trust any advice you get from me, because my advice is just always just to leave it be.
Yeah,
I'm lazy. I'm honestly really lazy. I
haven't been to a gym ever.
Aside
from like high school, grade school. That's the last time.
You know what?
I
went to a gym recently because believe it or not, I actually have access to a gym.
Oh, in the building, yeah.
But I get this really big anxiety where, like, anytime I go in, because I'm clearly, like, I don't exercise enough, and I'm clearly, like, I don't know my way around machines really well. I always go into these gyms, and I just see that there's a bunch of other people there. I was reminded of why I don't like going to the gym, at least by myself, is because I was with Good Life Fitness. That's just one of those. I don't know. Is that Canadian only? I guess Good Life Fitness is just a Canadian chain of
I'm only aware of it just in Canada.
Probably.
I don't know.
Okay, this is just assuming that any Americans are listening to this, which I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
We have some viewers apparently on the channel that are in the UK, as if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
The UK.
So jolly old. Oh, maybe it's Jess. I don't know. Maybe it's just only Jess.
You were gonna do like a top of the morning to you,
can
or
tell.
some stupid
you can tell I was
stereotype, you know.
Stop! Don't do it.
But anyways, I was reminded why I don't like going to the gym is that I get this anxiety, and this is just personal to me, but I get this thing. I'm not experienced around using some of this equipment, and there's always just like other people there that are like, they clearly work out a lot and they know what they're doing in these machines, and I just feel like in the back of my mind I know I'm like, you know what? They don't care what you do. They don't care about me. They don't care what they do. They're not even paying attention to me. But I have this idea in my mind that when I go there, I have to look like I know what I'm doing. Like when I get on a machine, or if I'm lifting weights, I have to look like I know what the hell I'm doing, or else I just feel like I'm gonna look stupid.
I think it's better to let yourself open that you don't know what you're doing, because like you can be like to the guy next to you, hey, I'm new to this. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you like help me out? Just keep it light. Like,
but I'm too embarrassed to ask, or too embarrassed to let anyone else know. So this is completely my fault. This is like a self-inflicting sort of thing.
Okay.
Like I'm like it's I'm not blaming the people that are there at the gym that are actually trying to improve themselves. I'm just like I just get that sort of anxiety where I'm like eyes are on me, and gosh knows I'm just letting stuff like that get to me, because then it's an excuse to not want to go to the gym. But
that's alright.
But yeah,
it's motivation too.
Bottom line, I'd rather exercise on my own. Saves that sort of anxiety.
It's just the big 3-0 is like around the corner for both of us eventually.
What's the 3-0? I don't understand what
30.
you're talking. Don't talk about that.
And like I've been noticing even just right now that like I get like cramps in my hip, or like I can sometimes do a stretch and then there's like a fucking pop. Like it feels great, but I'm just like, should I be feeling that right now? I don't know. This is like, I don't know. I was
gonna say maybe you're overthinking it, but I just told you a whole entire story that had to do with me overthinking things. So I mean, I guess I'm not one to talk.
We're just.
We all have insecurities, you know.
We do, yeah.
And a lot of insecurities are really fucking stupid, but
they are. Yeah.
They just exist, and sometimes they're just there to stay.
Well, I think it's time to move on to the main topic now. The reason I don't know. I had trouble thinking of something we can talk about, but we were kind of talking about. Actually, I was talking about it with like Lyle and Evan. I said I wanted to do like slapstick comedies from the 90s, or some sort of topic where it was like John Hughes related. I can't remember what it was, but since I knew I wanted to have you back on the show, I was like. So he mentioned in the My Chauffeur podcast, you're like, you can name like 20 movies I've never heard of before. So I just said, all right, let's call your bluff, buddy. Let's put you down here, and I want you to...
Call my bluff? Oh,
yeah, call your bluff, bro. Like,
why do I need to prove it to you?
Because I know that you know a lot of obscured shit specifically from the 1980s. So it's a little game called... I don't even know if it's a fucking game, but I'd love to know just movies that I want to know if I've heard of these before. Anything rare, obscured, good, bad, not a lot of people talk about, not a lot of people know about. I don't know.
I probably picked all ones that you never heard of.
Well, lay them on me.
And they may not even be necessarily like they're not like rare, but they're just like forgotten. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say forgotten or not talked about, but I guess that is the definition of obscure, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's one of the definitions, but... Sorry, you want me to start talking about movies?
Please. And we're just going to be enjoying our beer and pizza, because that goes together like peanut butter and J.
Well, speaking of peanut butter, maybe I should start with this film. There's this Canadian movie from the 80s called The Peanut Butter Solution.
Okay.
It's a weird title, and let me tell you, it's a weird movie.
Title like that, I wouldn't be surprised.
A bunch of stuff happens in this movie. I'm not going to obviously over-describe the plot, but basically there's this...
What year is it from?
1985.
Okay.
So, this film, this would have been like a hard-to-find film, or hard to... Like, it wasn't easily viewable until, like... Blu-ray or whatever, which will be the case with a lot of the movies I bring up, is that Blu-ray is a saving grace these days, where some of these movies were very seldomly seen, and then they maybe got a VHS release, but it was out of print after that, and then either got a limited DVD run, run, or they never even got released on DVD at all. So you had to track down a VHS. And then, I don't know, for whatever reason, just Blu-ray, a lot of these movies just finally come out, and not only do you have access to it now, but it's in the best quality that they could possibly watch. Apart from 4K, because I guess a lot of them get 1080p, but I'm like, man, it's a big improvement over whatever else was available. But Peanut Butter Solution, it is It's this film. So it's about this. It's focused on this. I think it's a 10-year-old boy. I'm gonna guess he's about 10 years old. But basically, he and his friend, come across this abandoned building or this house that's around the neighborhood that's burned down, and it's like a wreck. And kids get curious. They're just like, hey, let's go creep around the house and see
Let's
what
go
we
explore in there. Yeah.
Let's go exploring, exactly.
Yeah.
This kid goes in, he witnesses some kind of vague supernatural phenomenon. You don't really see what it is.
Okay.
So he just thinks, okay, well, he passes out, and then his friend's like, oh crap, and brings it back home. Parents are alarmed, but, seems like nothing really happened. Kid wakes up, he has no hair. His hair is completely, gone.
Okay.
So it's just like, and then apparently nothing he can do. There's nothing he can do to bring your hair back. He even tries a wig, but it falls off, and kids laugh at him and stuff because he's a baldy. So I'm just like, it's just like whatever. But then he wakes up one night and he encounters these ghosts in his house. They're like people, like the spirits of previously living people, and they say, there's a solution for your baldness, but you gotta make this kind of mixture, and a mixture involves multiple ingredients, but one of them is peanut butter. And so this kid does the mixture according to what these ghosts told him, but it's like, I think he more or less overcompensates for certain ingredients.
Wait, so the ghost told him this is the solution, how to get your hair back?
Pretty much.
But isn't this the reason why his hair was gone in the first place?
Oh, these ghosts have nothing to do with the supernatural whatever that was at the mansion that they went to.
Oh, okay.
It is a little. It makes a little more sense in the movie. I'm just trying not to share too much, but it's still kind of random.
Okay.
So he makes this mixture involves peanut butter.
And that's a way to get gum out of your hair, but
sure. I think he used a little too much or whatever, and then he wakes up. His hair is back, so he's happy. But there's a problem. His hair is growing too fast. So his hair is short in the morning, and by the time he's at school, his hair is growing like crazy.
Okay, wait. This sounds eerily familiar to me, actually.
In what way?
You might have told me this, or maybe I've seen this on something. Maybe it was Best of the Worst, or I don't even know. No, they didn't.
Definitely not.
They didn't cover this on Best of the Worst. Okay. There's something about that premise where it's like, oh, I do wish for my hair back, and then it happens, but then it just keeps growing. That sounds very familiar. Did Simpsons make fun of this or something? I don't know.
I doubt it. This is such a rare film.
Okay.
When it's a film that's barely been seen, and it's just and it's a Canadian film too.
Yeah. Well, is anybody in it that, anybody noteworthy?
No,
not a single person? Director, anybody pops up in the movie?
Nope.
No, wow.
Nope.
Where was it shot?
But I think parts of it were filmed in, I want to say part of it was filmed in Toronto, I think so.
Okay.
I can't quote that. It might have been Ontario. I think it was Ontario.
So it's a weird movie? Just but good?
Bad? It's weird because this kid loses his hair, and then he finds this peanut butter solution that brings his hair back, but it grows too fast. And then there's this art teacher that's at his school that takes notice of his hair, and he's like, this hair seems to be magic, it's growing so fast. He kidnaps this kid and brings him to this warehouse lair that apparently he has. So now this weird art teacher is suddenly just some psycho that wants to use his hair for some kind of purpose. And he actually starts making paintbrushes out of his hair and shit. And his friends gotta go find him and save him. And that's all I'm gonna say with the plot, really, because maybe I might have spoken too much already. But
I don't know.
It's just it's a bizarre sequence of events. And I honestly tell you, even if it makes a little more sense than what I described, it's not going to be that much more sensible. It's just really what the fuck?
It sounds to me like it's a movie that if you would have watched a little bit younger, it would have kind of stuck with you a little bit more. Like you know how
Well,
it's like because you know how like some Goosebumps old episodes that we watched, we obviously remember it because of like not even nostalgia, but just like the concept alone kind of like scared you as a kid, that you do sort of remember feeling creeped out about it, even in hindsight. But it's not creepy today.
Well, you would remember a movie like this because there's nothing else like it out there.
Okay.
It's just like I think it's meant to be a kids movie, but a lot of dialogue is kind of unnatural in the movie. Like you feel like, I don't know, the kids say certain things that I'm like, kids wouldn't talk like that, or
Yeah.
and then it just like goes in a weird and dark place. So you're just like, who's this movie made for? And you're not entirely sure, but it sticks with you because it's just got a concept like nothing else. And even if you whether you'd like the movie or not, like I think it was a good movie. But regardless of whether you think it's a good movie or not, if you watched it, it's something that definitely sticks with you just for the concept alone. Like you probably get this all the time, but someone tells you like, oh, there's this movie, or you hear about this movie where it's like it's got this and this, and then it's something that's bizarre that you never heard of. You don't even know if it's a good or bad movie, but you're gonna watch it because you're like, holy crap, I gotta see what this is about at the very least,
Sure, yeah.
It's definitely one of those movies. So
The peanut butter
Solution.
Okay.
Peanut butter solution.
Well, it's a solution that backfired. It sounds like.
No, I think it's worth. I think it's worth digging up. It's a lot.
No, I mean in terms of the story, like there,
Oh.
There's like a monkey's paw situation, like careful what you wish for kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of.
Okay.
More or less.
All right. I got one.
So yeah,
I wrote down this list like a month and a half ago, and literally just like shoved it in my wallet, and then like I haven't even opened it till like just this second. So I got. Have you ever seen the movie Coma?
No, I never heard of it.
Aha! Yes, I thought I would win some way in this game because I think you'd be like, yes, I have heard of it, but I have not seen it before.
What year is this from?
1970. Oh my God! Hang on, 1970. 1978. Thank you.
Okay.
It's directed by Michael Crichton.
Okay.
The author Michael Crichton, who's done like you know his shit, right?
Yeah, he did Westworld.
He did Westworld. Yeah. Yep.
I think they did Andromeda Strain.
Yes.
There's some of these other works I know of, but I've never seen their film adaptations or.
Most well known Jurassic Park, like he did the novel and stuff like that. But yeah, he was a director, and I think this might have been his first movie. I don't know, but this was a movie that Veronica actually showed me, and it's a movie that she watched a lot as a kid. So it's essentially about it stars Michael Douglas. He's in it.
Okay.
Young Michael Douglas, and it takes place in a facility where they're experimenting on people who have like these not like diseases, but they're people that are kind of like, it's hard to kind of describe what they're experimenting on, but basically in the beginning is not really the most important part, but what kicks off the whole movie is that Michael Douglas is like one of the employees, and he starts to suspect that like the higher up people are doing more than what they're experimenting on in this facility.
Okay.
So it's like, if you're into kind of conspiracy stuff, or not even, if you just find it interesting, like if you're a fan of like this, say the X-Files or something like that, where like there's somebody out there that thinks that there's more truth out there than what's being perceived on the surface. The truth is out there. Yeah. It's a movie where he's really trying to like trying to like figure out what's going on, and they're kind of going back to what I just mentioned. Like it's a movie where you sort of feel like you're kind of on the run this whole time. It kind of has like this like Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of paranoia, where like you can't really trust anybody, and even the ones that you do trust are kind of like, they're kind of shady, or maybe they'll backfire you. Sorry, they'll backstab you or whatever.
Yeah, there's that looming uncertainty.
Yeah, I think it has a pretty like unique kind of tone for its time. It could have been way more like bogged down with action, and it doesn't it doesn't really like indulge in any action. It's just all more about kind of like thrilling and suspense and kind of like not knowing what to expect. It's a lot more intelligent is what I'm trying to say. And if it was today remade, oh fuck, of course they would, double down on all the action and make it exciting, whatever. Because today's attention span philosophy is just out the fucking window.
I'd probably want the action, to be honest.
I mean, I don't know. It's not slow. That's what I mean. It's not slow.
Okay, it's not slow.
Okay. It's not a slow burn. I would just say that once you get past like the setup and it starts to actually try to get past its premise, it's really good. So
I'm not saying every movie needs a bunch of shootouts or whatever.
Oh no, and it's not that at all. You're not craving that when you're watching it. You're just sort of like. There's something you ever have a dream where you just feel like you ever have a dream at night where like someone's just chasing you and it's just kind of like stressful in the moment and you only have to wake up to realize okay that was just a dream but that was kind of uncomfortable, like you kind of felt like it was real.
I mean,
I don't know if you ever had that kind of dream.
I don't know
before.
if I've really had anyone chase me in my dreams, but I mean, sure, I understand what you're saying.
I don't know if it's the right example.
We all have different dreams, Cody.
True.
My dreams are probably too weird to even explain on this podcast.
We're on different paths. I have a different dream than you. But it kind of feels like that, where it's like you're being pursued and like, I don't know. I've only seen it once. It didn't stick with me that often, but the fact that I'd never heard of it made me think, okay, has anybody fucking heard of this? And yeah, because like, and I'm surprised. Michael Crichton's a well-known author, rest in peace, but it's not something that nobody really talks about that much. So, yeah. What do you got?
What do I got?
Yeah, what do you got?
Okay, all right, this one's actually from the 90s, and this might not even be really restricted to just this one particular film, but this is going to be more about a production studio from the 90s that's been largely forgotten, and, well, to be honest, in the 90s, this production company was direct-to-video stuff, but they were called PM Entertainment, and they did a lot of these movies where not really any big actors, but they would have been like action movies where you had an average story or whatever, but boy did they know where to spend the money, and they spent it on the action,
explosions, and
there's surprisingly damn good action and damn good like set pieces in their movies for what's essentially supposed to be like a direct-to-video production.
All right.
But one of them I really like is actually called Rage, and it was this. It's about this guy. He's like an average family man. He's a teacher at a school, primary school, and then but then around his neighborhood, there's like some kind of drug thing going on, and this guy was trying to escape this botched. I guess it was a botched drug deal, and maybe it might not have been a drug deal, but these movies all blend anyways. It's usually about something about drugs.
Fair enough.
It's a very easy go-to kind of situation to put into an action movie where it's just like, oh, the conflict is just drugs. Period. That's all.
Narcotics, something,
whatever.
Yeah, like just
yeah.
It's all about that.
Oh no, wait! I think it was about like smuggling immigrants over the border, because I think this movie takes place in like the southern border or whatever. But
okay,
it doesn't matter. Basically, this guy gets caught. This teacher's coming home from his job, and then this guy, whatever, that's running away. From whatever happened, just hops in his car. He's like, yeah, drive. And then it's a wanted criminal, and the police go after him. But then once this guy pretty much gets killed or whatever, knocked off, they go after this teacher guy too, because they think, well, he's with him, he's an accomplice. When really he was just a poor innocent guy that just got almost carjacked pretty much.
Okay.
The guy's like, yeah, drive, whatever. So then
so
he's
it's
just
a misunderstanding, yeah.
It's a misunderstanding, that's exactly it. So no one believes that he's innocent, and he's got to like run away, and pretty much the whole entire movie is him running away, and then there's a news reporter that believes he's innocent and wants to prove he's innocent, but all these other media or whatever, they like to sensationalize this stuff, and they're like, oh, he's a wanted criminal or whatever. The plot's pretty irrelevant, honestly. It's not even a unique plot by any means. But boy, the action is great. There's like a big on the road chase sequence, you know, where he's driving a truck and then all these other cars get totally wrecked. And then, you know, there's like a scene in the top of a skyscraper where there's like a lot of like on the edge you see kind of like stuff where it's like always hanging from the building and you could drop, and it's like pretty sure the actor who was playing the teacher, Gary Daniels, did his own stunts.
Nice.
I'll be honest, it's not really, from what I'm describing, it's not going to be easy to really see what's special about this movie.
But it's all about the spectacle. Yeah.
But I think it's just one of those movies that's just like it's amazing where they spent the money, and the action definitely delivers.
See, that's the thing I miss about. I know this is going back years ago, and you've probably seen like better movies since the ones I'm about to name. But like when we were in high school, and you showed me like Police Story and Hard Target, like I didn't care about like the plots. They're all just about like I want to see just like action, because this is just sticking to what the genre is. Just a straight up action movie. You're not trying to reach like the next Die Hard or whatever. It's just all about like am I just kind of caught up with how like holy shit they actually like blew that up. That's amazing. You know, or like you're just kind of caught up with the fast-paced energy, and you're not thinking about fuck, that looks a bit phony, or I saw this, I'm seeing the seams, you know, like
right.
I the way you're describing it kind of feels like it's harkening back to kind of that, you know.
I think especially when it's a low-budget production or direct-to-video, you don't expect much to begin with, so when it does pull off like a really good, like where it's just like holy shit, they had all these cars crash, or oh wow, they did all this stunts to get the helicopter. They got the helicopters and everything, or they got a mall sequence where people getting smashed through the windows of like a bunch of like outlet stores. It's just like wow. It's just like wow. You know what? Your story is not great, and honestly, the acting is very actors are pretty average. But damn, the action's fun, and do you know what? That almost makes up for it. And I actually did a screening for that in a Discord group.
All right.
One time, and I think a lot of the people that they used to watching newer stuff, and they weren't really sold on this Rage movie. But I'm just like, oh, trust me, you know, the story's not gonna be that great, but the action's great, and they were just like, wow, damn, like I'm surprised it was like that. It was like Hollywood level for such a.
That's awesome.
What probably is a low budget production.
That's so cool.
And honestly, a lot of PM Entertainment's movies, which I've watched probably only like 4 or 5 to be honest. I guess that's not a lot, but they've all had the same trend of being like not great stories, not great actors, but great action. And you know what? Sometimes that's all it takes is to elevate a movie. It's just when it gets the primary element right, you know?
Yeah.
So like Rage is like that. I'm not going to go into, there's another movie that was, Red Letter Media actually covered. It was called The Sweeper with C. Thomas Howell. He was like this cop that likes to do things like he doesn't like to go by the book. He's a very aggressive cop, and he gets invited to join this organization that's like Justice Incorporated, which I think is so stupid. It's so like transparent, that name, like boy, Justice Incorporated, and it's just like.
Sounds like a video production news, like from Nightcrawler.
Yeah, it's like a league of cops that like to defy the law, and then But then he decides maybe he doesn't fit in with these guys, and that they're taking it too far, and then there's that movie's also just like there's a plot, but it's just like the action is where it is.
Is this 90s as well?
Oh, it's 90s. Yeah, these are both mid 90s.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Yeah, you're not gonna find. I'd say you can find these films online.
Like YouTube, like the whole movie's on there.
Actually, this is gonna be kind of a promotion, but there's this website called Rare Lust, and it's I think it's just the word rare and lust together.com, and there's this guy that actually uploads. He uploads a lot of stuff. He uploads some movies that are like fairly common, but he uploads a lot of movies, like all kind of genres, even if it's like adult movies too, you know, like stuff that no one else would really, that's been forgotten, no one else would really dig up, and this guy gets a hold of them, and you can download them through like one of those online downloaders.
What's it called? Lust.
Rare Lust.
Rarelust.com.
So
Okay.
if there's ever like an obscure '90s movie or some movie that's you can't find anywhere else, especially not on streaming, and not even on your average whatever downloading sites,
I love
this place will have it.
You have my interest because I know you, me, and Pat have tried for a while now to do our own little best of the worst, where you pick something, I pick something, and he picks something, and I've been having a lot of trouble finding something, so this could probably be very helpful.
Well, actually, yeah. So I actually, so The Rage and The Sweep are those two PM Entertainment movies I mentioned are on there.
Okay.
Actually, matter of fact, I came across Rage from looking up PM Entertainment, and they didn't have it on that website, and I actually emailed the guy and said, could you get a copy of Rage somewhere? Like a couple months later, he had it uploaded. So, I don't know the name of this guy who runs this website, but props to him because what he's doing is really adheres to this niche demographic of people that really do like to seek out these forgotten movies and very like movies that have been rarely seen by anyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where you can find them if you want to check them out. Watch the trailers even, and you'll get an idea of what the action's like, as I've been talking about.
All right.
Yeah, if you're like an action fiend like me, there's plenty of good action stuff we found in the direct-to-video cinema of the '90s. I can't say that about modern cinema now. Like, I don't know, when you go to direct-to-video stuff, it's usually something that involves an ex-wrestler or Steven Seagal who's looking really out of shape these days.
Yeah.
It looks really sad.
Well,
and they have cheap like blood squibs, and the action is crap, and the guns have like fake muzzle flashes. It's just they look cheap. Like,
this ties beautifully into the next one I got.
Okay, go for it.
I got Striking Distance.
Oh, I know this movie. I've never actually seen it. I know it's a Bruce Willis movie. It's
from 1993. Yes,
it's from 3.
The year we were born.
You know what?
Yes.
I came across it before, but I never watched it because I think I might have even watched a trailer many years ago, and I was just like, it looked like one of like Bruce Willis's lesser offerings.
Yeah, just keep it that way. Don't watch it because it sucks. It sucks.
Okay, so my intuition was correct.
This
then.
movie, I approve people like, and you're just talking about how like later on action films are kind of like washed up. Later on action stars that are now washed up. Like Bruce Willis is definitely one of them now, where he's just starring in tons of fucking shit that no one has ever heard of or cared about, and he looks like he doesn't give a shit about being there.
And he takes most of the budget, and he's
so let me guess, you watched the latest Half in the Bag, I assume.
Yeah, he's like a con artist.
It's awful.
I'm like,
it's like this is still in the prime of when Bruce Willis was still like, he was John McClane, he was like yet to be in Sixth Sense. He was just around the corner for doing
the third Die Hard didn't even come out yet.
Third Die Hard is Pulp Fiction was coming out a year after this. Striking Distance is a movie that he literally looks like he does not give a shit at all in that movie, and this preludes all of his latest movies that he's done. Which makes me think, has he always been this way, and yet he just chooses the best directors to work with that get the best takes out of him? I'm kind of suspicious about him. Is he really as great as people claim him to be?
What's the general plot of this movie? I've actually never really. I completely forget.
I've seen it. It's been so long since I've seen it, but I think it's like he gets mixed up with Sarah Jessica Parker, and that's what also blows my mind is how don't people heard of this before? Like she's like Sex in the City, like she's so well.
Well, I mean that was years before that, though.
I guess. I don't even fucking remember what this movie's about. I don't even care. I just remember that the action was so lame, and it was almost like it felt so tightened. Like they can't go all out with their action or else it's too expensive.
It felt really restrictive. Was it
very restrictive?
Do you know, was it an R-rated movie or PG-13?
From the top, I can't remember if there wasn't any blood in it. It's mostly like boat chases.
Chases?
Yeah, like there's no car chases. I remember they're trying to do sort of like a butting head situation between the two leads where like they don't get along at first, but then they do after a sex scene, an obligatory sex scene, and it's one of those, and like I forget the actor's name, but he's in it. He plays the villain. He's from Big Trouble. Lyle will know what I'm talking about. He plays one of the guys.
Big Trouble.
Big Trouble, 2002. It's like a It's like an all-started cast. It's kind of like an interconnected storylines between different people. Tim Allen.
I barely even know that movie.
So many fucking people. I forget the guy's name. But he's like the villain.
Is his name Tom Sizemore by any chance?
No, not that. Wasn't Tom Sizemore.
Brian James.
Let me see his face. Sorry. That's him. Yeah. No. It was Daniel Farrelly. That guy. Yeah.
Danny DeTillo.
Dennis Farina. That guy. Yeah. That was him.
Whatever.
He plays the villain in Striking Distance, and that's all I remember from the movie.
Okay.
But no one's fucking heard of this movie, and no one should.
Oh, it's an R-rated movie. Okay.
I've seen this. I remember renting this movie, thinking it looked awesome because it had like the same. And that's another thing is that I hated back then when they changed like poster art on DVD cases to make it look more exciting than it does look. Because this movie had like explosions and like the floating head syndrome, like Pat always says, where it's just actors' heads and looking all like. And this movie just sucked. But I thought it was a great segue. I don't know. It was a good segue. It was a good segue because you're talking about action films and like okay, so you have heard of this. But
well, no, the theatrical poster. I mean, I know whoever's listening is not gonna see this, but you see that right there. It's just like the head. It's like the head up in the top corner or whatever, sticking out, and then there's a gun barrel.
Looks like Under Siege or something like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
But then this is the cover I saw on the Blu-ray.
That's the one I saw, yeah.
And it's a shit. If you could see this cover, it's a shitty ass cover. It definitely didn't make me interested in the movie.
It's not worth your time, and no one's ever heard of it for that reason.
Well, I mean, when you're in the top, even when you're in the top of your game as an actor, there's gonna be some misses here and there.
I got one. Sorry to jump ahead, but I just want to get this one out of the way.
Okay. Well, I thought this was going back and forth.
All right, then let's go back and forth then. Sure, go ahead.
Unless you think you're gonna lose your train of thought.
No. It was just more like I want to bring it up just because we're on a conversation about action films.
Okay.
Actually, no, this is not an action film. What am I saying? It has the front of an action film, but it's really a comedy.
You know what? You look like you're ready to talk about it. So
all right.
Why don't you talk about it and I'll talk about the next two ones.
Okay, it's called The Dream Team.
Oh, I've heard of this. Isn't it like Billy Crystal?
No, Michael Keaton.
Oh, I mixed them up.
It's Michael Keaton, Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
And they do look the same.
They both kind of had that curlyish looking hair.
Yeah. I see that. Yeah.
Around that time period. So.
Christopher Lloyd's also in it. Peter Boyle and I always forget this guy's name, but he's the guy from Animal House who did the horse initiation when he was joining the Alphas or the Omegas, whatever one was. He was the one with the gun trying to shoot the horse. I don't know if you remember Animal House.
I haven't seen it in a while.
So it's basically it takes place in this mental institution where Michael Keaton is fucking just playing a prototype Jack Nicholson from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, just someone who's just crazy. He's just flat out crazy, right? Aggressive, throw shit around all the time. Peter Boyle plays a guy that thinks he's Jesus Christ.
Wait, so these guys are all loonies?
Yeah, and the guy from Animal House is obsessed with baseball. All he ever talks about, he dresses like he just came from a ball game. And Christopher Lloyd pretends to be a doctor that's working in the institute when really he actually is an inmate. And he has severe OCD. He always wants everything to be perfect, everything to be organized. He's absolutely out of his mind, right? And the whole premise is that their doctor takes them out to the big city, into New York, and they're supposed to have a day trip at a ball game. And just through a series of misunderstandings, where actually James Remar plays the villain in the movie.
Oh, James Remar.
James Remar, yeah, he's in it, and he ends up knocking out the doctor, and the doctor gets into the hospital, and then all of these four inmates are just wandering around the city trying to clear their name because they get framed for almost murdering their doctor and another police officer. I don't know. It's just it's a terrible 80s plot. Oh yeah, it's from in 1988 or 89 or something.
I think 89.
80, yeah. And it's a movie that my mom watched so much that she obviously showed me as a young age, and I thought, oh cool, Batman's in it, Doc Brown's in it, whatever. And I always felt so off about it, and the reason why is because it's not funny. The movie is really not that funny. It's lame. I always felt just so off about it. I don't know why. It's just it's like lame joke after lame joke, but you can tell like the cast are trying to do like the best of what they can with this movie.
So like,
it's
you can't really put your finger on what doesn't work about it.
If you're in that sort of like you laugh so bad at how a joke is type of mood, you might actually think it's a laugh out loud riot, because like there's so many jokes in this movie that just like you can tell they wanted it to land, but it just crashes, burns in the most flat way possible.
Wait, so you did laugh at those jokes being bad?
I laughed at it ironically.
It's almost like it's where, because I know comedies or stuff like that where it's like the jokes don't land, but it's almost like I see what I was going for, and you almost kind of, it's almost so bad that you end up laughing anyways.
That's kind of what it is.
What you consider charmingly pathetic.
That's exactly what it is.
That's
exactly what it is.
Describe it. I know those kind of movies. Believe me.
And funny enough, I remember my mom picked me up from school on a lunch break one day. I was in grade like 2 or 3, and she's like, she looked very like worried, or not, just kind of like different, it was like off for some reason. And she's like, "So Cody, I got something to tell you. Do you happen to remember from the Dream Team there was that scene where Michael Keaton, when they were just coming into the city, into New York, and he's going like, oh yeah, see that? The Twin Towers over there. Yeah, I was the architect for those buildings." And he just goes off on all this whole like lies and all that. You know where this is going, right?
Oh, totally.
So she's telling me about this whole those towers, those Twin Towers, and I'm like, I don't remember. I didn't even remember that scene, but now in hindsight, I know what part she was talking about. I'm like, okay, so what about it? She went, "Some very bad people just destroyed those towers," and I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of crazy. And then I didn't know how crazy it was until I went home and I'm flipping through the channels on cable, and literally every fucking channel is the news showing it's 9/11. Like,
it was a similar reaction to me when I found out elementary school, because the teachers talked about it.
Oh, when I went back to school, my teacher was like fucking...
Like the day of, like,
oh my God.
I didn't process it in me. I'm like, oh, they blew up these towers? Okay. And it didn't process, and then, like you, it didn't really process for me. Not really, I didn't actually see it on television that night for whatever reason, but the next day when it was like the big picture, it was like a huge picture of the Twin Towers destruction on the front page newspaper.
Yeah.
On the front page newspaper, that I was like, oh shit, this is a huge deal.
Yeah, like
this is like,
I think
this is like,
initially that was a big deal because like
it didn't sink in right away.
TV was like my as a kid, TV was like my world back then. But then it was
everybody's world unless you were a book nerd or some shit. I don't know.
But like I'm flipping through the channels and it's like interrupted by all this shit. It was strange. It was memorable and strange just seeing that. Yeah. But anyways, sorry. Yeah.
Anyways,
back to 9/11. No, that's a
back. We need to back off from 9/11.
No, but the Dream Team. I actually would recommend this to you if you have some friends that are fans of like lame 80s comedies. I would say check it out. The cast is kind of fun, but it's nothing special, and you can tell it's trying to be like all action thriller, but it I don't know. It has like the saxophone and everything, in the score and like the. Trying to make it intense.
They're very intense?
No, it's trying to be intense.
I was going to say the jazz doesn't seem intense to me.
Like it has like that. Score. It has the Lethal Weapon type of like it's trying to have like like cop.
I think I
guns
can,
and all that.
I can envision it a bit.
Yeah, it's trying to be like that. Oh, and Michael Keaton is totally like. It's like literally every day before he walked the set, he was watching like Nicholson on like. Parts of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like it's literally just a complete ripoff of a performance. Yeah.
Wow, no, I don't know if this is a good segue, but it's like
what do you got?
Because I was talking about we were talking about comedies that don't really work, but it's almost like it's enjoyable in the sense that it falls flat. Mm-hmm. That it's almost like it's mildly entertaining how flat it falls.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I'll take that over. Because you know what? I'll tell you this: when you have a bad if you have a bad action movie, if it's like the plot is awful and the acting sucks, but the stunts and choreography and explosions or whatever are great, then that'll make up for it. So it'll still deliver an action. If you have a bad science fiction movie where the sets are cheap and the actors suck too, but there's a charming amount of effort put into it in spite of the low budget, then it succeeds. There's almost a lot of time no running away from a bad comedy. When a comedy's bad, it's bad.
I think someone said it best that when you're watching a comedy that's so unfunny, there's only so many times that you can literally criticize and say that's not funny, that you just sort of feel
and it's honestly,
worn out.
It's one of the worst things you can actually come across.
It is,
in my opinion.
I fucking hate it.
So I'll take a movie where even if it's a bad comedy, that it's ironically entertaining because of how bad it is, over a movie that's just genuinely no laughs at all. But I think, there's this film. I feel like you mentioned it to me before, that someone you knew, one of your teachers that was at film school, had worked on this. It was a movie from the 90s called Car 54, Where Are You?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, Karen Hazard, rest in peace. She was my casting director teacher. Amazing woman. She was filled with tons of stories. She was the casting director of this movie, and she said that the director was one of the worst people she ever worked with in her entire career. Like this woman worked with Bob Clark. Like she worked on a Christmas Story.
Are you telling me Bob Clark was an asshole?
No. Like she worked with lots of people, is what I'm saying.
Oh, she worked with a lot of good people.
A lot of good people, and she said,
Bob Clark did Christmas. Well, Bob
she
Clark
worked on A Christmas Story. She was the Toronto casting director.
Just off topic, quick.
Yeah.
Did you know Bob Clark directed Black Christmas?
I did. Yes.
There you go.
That movie's the precursor to Halloween. Hot take.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
But it's just funny that there's that. It's always interesting to see a director tackle two different genres on the opposite spectrums of each other. But continue.
To go with your story, she said something that I'll never forget. She said this director was so bad that he said the only concern that he cared about of making a movie was basically towards the budget. You want to spend your money on production value and getting the right people and especially the cast, because it kind of is just like a Police Academy knockoff, the movie. She said the only thing that this director's intention was, so how many cars can we destroy? I'm like, oh no.
Well, this movie's got kind of an interesting story, so...
Yeah, I am actually... I don't even know what the fuck it's about, and I haven't seen it.
I'll be honest, so I didn't go into just to vaguely talk about it. I actually seen the movie.
Okay, tell me.
I watched it.
Tell me.
And let me tell you, I was expecting one of the worst fucking comedies that I've heard this film shit on.
Yep.
When I look up stuff about it. It's one of those movies that's so bad that I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Oh, it's one of those.
Well, it's a comedy. No, the comedy fails. Bad. The comedy absolutely fails. But the main cop, so apparently this movie is actually based off of there was a television show from the 50s, I think the 50s or 60s, called Car 54, Where Are You? And I guess that joke is that the car 54 is the number of the car that the two police officers drive. They're on duty together.
Yeah.
And then Car 54, Where Are You? It's just like, well, where's Car 54? Because they're always off doing something else that they shouldn't be doing. Or I think that was basically the premise. But anyways, this movie, which came out in 1994, many years later.
Oh, so this seems very, that was around a time where a lot of old television shows were trying to get a movie revival.
Like you're talking about Beverly Hillbillies and
Little Rascals.
The
Brady Bunch movie. Well, I heard that's one that does it successfully.
Oh, Brady Bunch movie's great.
Yeah, that makes fun of
it celebrates the sitcom and it also
mocks it
because they're stuck in the 70s and they're living life in the 90s.
That's great. I want to watch that actually.
We should absolutely watch it. It's I'm a big fan of it. But anyways, Car 54, Where Are You? It's 1994. Probably, honestly, I don't even know if it was that big of a show back in the original show was, but anyways, it's one that you get those things sometimes where it's like, why did you make a movie based on a property that's not that well remembered or fondly remembered this many years later or whatever. But anyways,
I said that when they released Chips. Remember Chips?
Well, Well,
God.
I've seen the original show. I have this channel,
and then they fucking
I
Dax Shepard releases a movie.
They turn into some like movie with the bad innuendo jokes and just like really lowbrow comedy.
So dumb.
Yeah, but no. Anyways, Car 54, where are you? I guess this brings at the modern time. It's just like, you got the cop. It focuses on a cop that's the one cop that's just like, he kind of abuses his job. He doesn't really care. He causes more trouble than he does actually protect. He's a sloppy cop like you might see in Police Academy. Big difference there. And then he's partnered with a cop who's more the opposite. He's uptight and wants to uphold the law. But
right.
Okay, this is definitely a movie where the plot's inconsequential. It's not even worth going into. But apparently this movie was meant to be a musical. It actually was shot as a musical. There's a bunch of musical numbers in it. And then through editing, the movie actually got a lot of stuff cut out, and almost everything with it and being a musical got completely cut out. There's only like 2 musical numbers in the movie, but otherwise you wouldn't think this movie was originally meant to be a musical. So there's a bunch of stuff on the cutting room floor, which I know will never see the light of day because no one's asking for a no one's saying release the full cut of Car 54. Where are you?
And it's a shame because I like that kind of premise. I like when you take like people that are in like a profession of authority and should be like professional and serving and protecting the innocent and the public, like the Naked Gun and Reno 911, like that. Those have funny premises, funny concepts, and this should probably fall in land.
Yeah, well, the bizarre thing is that the obnoxious cop that's in it is played by an actual rock star that I didn't even know acted. He's not a rock star; it's terribly well known, but he's the main singer of this group called the New York Dolls, which was a very big cult following. A band that didn't really has had a big cult following over the years. They didn't really strike success at the time, but he's the singer of that. I guess for whatever reason, he's done very few acting roles, and this was one of them. But he speaks in his voice where it's just like, I'm in Car 54. Where are you? Or something. And then it's such a forced voice. So I'm like.
Oh, I was gonna say that's a forced title drop too.
Well, that was my example. I don't think he actually said that. I couldn't think of it. This movie's not quotable, so I can't think of a line at all. He said, but. He speaks that voice the entire time, and his wife in the movie is played by Rosie O'Donnell, which that doesn't really give me much faith in the movie either, because Rosie O'Donnell's not.
Yeah, she's not that good of an actress.
Well, I don't have that much against her, but I'm not gonna say she's a great actress.
Yeah.
Any movie I've seen her in, I'm just like, I could have done with someone else instead. But it's just like that's his stick, is that he speaks in that voice, and it wasn't grating. As much as it was just like I was just like baffled. I'm like, so this is supposed to be funny, right? And I almost just found myself laughing. I'm like, it's just one of those movies where it doesn't fall as flat as you think it would, or it falls flat in a way where you're less insulted and more just like it's the little comedy that couldn't,
Yeah.
A little comedy that just couldn't, and
That's a good phrase, yeah.
I'm not saying it's underrated in any way, because you almost could say that about when you say a movie, it's like, it's the little movie that couldn't. Sometimes that's implying that it's a movie that's like worth checking out, or it's underrated or overlooked. But no, I can't say that about Car 54. I wouldn't honestly recommend anyone watch it. But as far as like worst comedies, it's far from it.
Okay.
From me personally. I at least laughed at how pathetic it was. And honestly, as I've already established, that is better than a comedy that is absolutely miserable and unfunny. And I really wish I could think of one of those, a good example of one of those right now, but I cannot, because I probably
like a comedy that's like so
that's downright miserable, where nothing lands, and it's not even ironically fun. It's not even ironically entertaining.
Most Adam Sandler recent comedies, like the Happy Madison shit. Like, I mean, yeah, that's the one that comes to my attention.
Yeah.
Like,
so,
yeah.
I mean, But I know comedy is also subjective, so something that I might think is honestly not is just mediocre.
I get the vibe that I get the vibe that it's misguided. Like it seems like a movie that they. Because remember, I watched the trailer years ago after Karen Hazard talked about it, and I just got the vibe that they clearly thought about the punchline, and they didn't think about the setup when it comes to a lot of these jokes.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just, well, in today's movies have that kind of mentality too, where it's like they just have to make everything crazy, and that's funny.
Do you know what?
Like, okay.
I actually have a good comparison. Maybe only some people understand this. Car 54, Where Are You? Is like one of the lesser. It's like I compare it to one of the lesser Police Academy movies. Like not the worst Police Academy movie, but like maybe like the second worst. I'd put it maybe that as a comparison. I'm only saying that not everyone would understand that is because there's plenty of people that probably there's a good amount of people probably seen Police Academy, but there's probably very few people like me who watched all 7 fucking Police Academy movies, and I don't even know why I did. Some of them were actually funny as it went on, but it's just like I didn't need to go that far.
It did not need to, no.
Oh man, Police Academy, Mission to Moscow from 1994 doesn't even have Steve Guttenberg. Well, the last few ones before that didn't.
We now live in a world where now that used to be like the kind of go-to when it comes to franchises that have run their course, where it's like, oh my god, there's 7 Police Academy movies. We're coming on to our 10th Fast and the Furious film.
Well, they do now. I can maybe at least sort of understand with action movies. I'd be surprised if there's any comedy franchise these days that could actually go 7 movies doing the same shtick. Which, I mean, if you put a little bit of variation on it, I suppose it works in a way, but. Police Academy definitely dried out, but yeah, to the very few that understand that have watched all the Police Academy movies like I do, Car 54, Where Are You? Feels like one of the lesser sequels of Police Academy. So take that however you will.
All right, I got one. It's funny. Most of these ones I have on here for the rest of my list are actually comedies, so it's a bit of a fitting. Okay. Not much I don't want to indulge on them too much because like the plot, it doesn't even fucking matter at this point.
That's kind of a running theme here. The plot doesn't matter.
Would you believe me that there's a movie that stars Bill Murray, and it's about him and an elephant, and it's called Larger Than Life?
I don't even know that one. I've never even heard of that one.
It sounds like I just pulled that out. I just made that up just on the spot, doesn't it? But there's a movie that came out in the 90s called Larger Than Life.
I don't know why I'm surprised. It sounds like a movie that came out in the 90s. It sounds like something like My Giant or something. I don't know.
I don't even remember
it's like that, where like, that's the idea. Bill Murray, there's Bill Murray, and then there's an elephant. Or just like My Giant, where it's like, there's Billy Crystal.
I don't even think I saw that one. Yeah.
And then there's a guy who's a giant. He's like he was an actual basketball player in real life. Okay. And that was the joke, was he's giant.
He's giant.
And they stretched out for an hour and a half. And that's an hour and a half that you'll never get back.
Oh, Gene Siskel.
Yeah, real Gene Siskel here.
Gene Siskel.
Keeping the Siskel quotes alive.
Larger Than Life. I don't even remember how, like, basically an elephant winds up in his possession. Like, it's basically Bart gets an elephant come to life. Like, I don't even fucking know. Like, he's just trying to escort an elephant across the country to get it back to its own natural world or whatever.
Did this come out after the Simpsons episode?
That's a good question. I want to find out.
Is this a case of the Simpsons did it?
Simpsons did it. Yeah, maybe. So, I don't know. I didn't fact check that.
It's like this movie. This movie didn't have much to go off on to begin with, but then whatever did have to go off of, it was what they thought was probably a unique concept. But nope, Simpsons did it. Maybe.
Fuck it. I don't even know what this is. I'm bringing my attention to it because this is real, and I just want people to take it or leave it and just research themselves. I'm not even going to bother talking about it. Sure. But I will talk about this next one. Do you remember Big Bully?
The fuck is that?
Yeah, I'm nailing it. This. I thought you would have heard of some of these. Shit.
Well, is this from the 90s as well?
Yes.
This is a comedy?
It's a comedy that's starring Rick Moranis and Tom Arnold.
Well, I know Tom Arnold stuff.
So I remember this one pretty well. So the backstory is that like there was this young nerdy kid that was in grade school or whatever, and there was this kid that always bullied him. And one day, like, there was something at, like, I forget what happened. It was, like, something at a science fair where, like, the best prize or something gets stolen, and the nerdy kid finds out that the bully did it, so the nerdy kid rats on the bully. The bully ends up getting taken away and to juvie, and the little nerdy kid's like, yay, I'm free now. I'm free away from that bully and all that. And then years go by, that nerdy kid grows up to be Rick Moranis. This might have been one of his last movies before he retired.
I wouldn't be surprised. Rick Moranis plays
nerdy,
the quintessential dork.
Yeah. So years go by, he grows up to be him, and I think it's either it's his new boss or maybe it's his new neighbor, but Tom Arnold is his new neighbor or new boss or whatever, and he finds out that he's the guy that used to bully him back then, and he's still like a jerk. Even though they're older, he's still like this asshole to him. Mm-hmm. And it just gets kind of like, the tone is kind of off with this movie where it's trying to be like serious at the same time, but then they have like, the comedy's not funny enough to kind of like make this consistently funny, so you're really left with like a movie that's taking itself way too seriously at points. Sure. Then he thinks like he dropped the bully off on a waterfall at the end, and he's like freaking out like, oh my god, I killed him, like whatever. I don't ever fucking remember. I just remember that like these were two guys that were pretty well known at around this time, and how the hell do people not know about this?
I don't know. Tom Arnold was pretty well known.
That's what I mean.
And he was in The Stupids, and no one remembers that movie.
The Stupids.
I actually like that movie.
The Stupids. Oh my god.
Remind me if we ever do a guilty pleasure. If we ever did a guilty pleasure topic, that's gonna probably go on there.
Movie. Yeah. It looks.
That's possibly for
that movie. That movie looks dumb. Okay, sorry.
Wow. Lame.
Yeah. That's Big Bully. I wouldn't recommend it. It's kind of. I
didn't think you would.
It's more awkward than it is like kind of a go-to to watch. Okay, one more, then I'll pass it down to you. I just want to get this out of the way. It's a better one to end off with. You might have watched it. I remember a teacher in high school showed this to us out of nowhere. It's a movie from the 90s called The Cure.
I don't think I've. You know what? There's a movie. I think it's called Cure. It's just called Cure, but it's totally unrelated. It's like a 1997 Japanese horror movie.
No, it wasn't that.
So no, I've never heard of The Cure.
The Cure was.
In the band. I've never heard of.
The Cure, not the band.
Okay, so what's the general plot? Tell me that.
It's kind of like a feel-good like a feel-good dramedy, I guess, about two kids. The one kid's played by Joseph, whatever his name is.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
No, Timmy from Jurassic Park, actually.
Oh, Joseph Mazzello?
Him, yes. Thank you.
Oh man. Oh, you just gave me an idea of a movie that
what?
I'll get into it afterwards.
Okay. Well, basically the premise is that he befriends with this kid in his class that's new, and he finds out that one of the kids, he has HIV. Like kid gets AIDS, right?
Oh, that's too real.
And the kid's trying to like, be friends with him because he only has like only enough, amount of time to live and all that. So it's I'd say if you're like into like. And it sounds very derogatory, like it sounds negative when I say this, but if you're into very like manipulative movies, and I hate to say that, or you like movies that kind of just tug at you, like, I don't know, ones to name drop, like I Am Sam, or like movies I'm not too fond of, but like movies that like do a good job and just kind of tug at you, like, oh, okay, that was a tearjerker, okay, I move on with my life.
It tricks you, but it almost like
I wouldn't say this movie is as cynical as
like Simon Birch.
Oh, that's a great example. Simon Birch. That's
my
god.
That one's cynical, and I hated it.
I'm sorry.
That movie made me miserable.
Oh my god, Simon Birch.
I know what you're trying to do, but it's just so fucking forced, and it doesn't work.
I'm such an asshole for like quoting that and making fun because.
I know. Well, I know it. I know like the topic of the movie.
I know. I'm so. I wouldn't say the Cure. It's not as cynical. I'll say it's kind of when you watch these kids, you're like, okay, they're actually like pretty good actors. Their chemistry is kind of sweet. It's kind of like that movie. This movie has a really, bleak and just depressing topic. But The Boy with the Striped Pajamas.
Oh yeah, I've seen that movie.
Like that movie, okay, it's not as depressing as that. It's not like, oh fuck, like it's gonna lead down a really bad path for these two kids. Well, the two kids had good chemistry.
Yeah.
And The Cure, I remember the kids having like really good chemistry, and I was like, holy fuck, nobody has ever seen this before. And I even forget the reason why it wasn't our drama teacher, it was our English teacher, just randomly wanted to throw it in.
Seems like something, and I was almost thinking like, oh, is this gonna be a movie that that was shown in religion class? No. It was just an English class. I don't even remember doing a homework assignment on it or something. I don't even remember. Anytime it's like a tug at the heartstrings kind of movie, I automatically think it was shown in religion class because they would show those movies where it's like there's a good morale about being a decent person, but it's also just forcibly tugging at your heartstrings and trying to make you feel a certain emotion that you might not be genuinely feeling as much as it is just the movie forcing that feeling onto you. Yeah. Oh, I've watched several of those.
It's a bright movie that has a nice, like.
By the way, we went to Catholic school. There we go.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I felt like I needed to explain that, but yes, we went to Catholic school.
Yes.
I'm not even Catholic anymore. We're not even talking about religion, politics, and this. So whatever.
You feel like you're kind of watching like a prototype. Kind of low rent Forrest Gump.
Low rent Forrest Gump.
Let's just say that. Not a bad Forrest Gump.
I always wish there was a run of Forrest Gump ripoffs in the 90s. Jurassic Park had ripoffs. Why not have Forrest Gump ripoffs?
Woods Bump? Jungle Bump?
Woods Bump? What the fuck?
Instead of Forrest Gump, it's Woods Bump. My name's Woods Bump.
That's so bad.
Jungle Bump.
See, that's the kind of example of something where I've seen a bad comedy where I'm like, it's such a pathetic joke, but I laugh anyways. Okay.
Well, what do you got?
What do I got? Okay. This wasn't originally on my list, but you mentioned Joseph Mazzello from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
There's an obscure movie with him that I know called Star Kid.
Oh, I know this one. It came out in the 90s, right? And it's like an E.T. kind of movie.
Oh no! It's like this kid, gets bullied at school, and you know what? I don't remember. I'm not a person that remembers quotes in movies very often, but I remember there's this bully that was picking on Joseph Mazzello at school, and then one of his lines to him is, "You are USDA choice dead meat." Because USDA, I think, is like the people that regulate the quality control for meat. That goes to grocery stores, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I think it might have been something you always saw on the stickers on ground beef or whatever. So, but the fact that he didn't say you're dead meat, he said you are USDA choice dead meat. I just felt like
no kid would ever say that.
No one would ever say that. I never forgot it. But that quote stuck with me. It was like a legendarily bad insult. So now I probably said that to people a few times, like you USDA choice dead meat, and it just confuses people more than anything.
That's funny.
But anyway, Joseph Mazzello. I forget how things come. I forget what happens in this movie, but I just know that the basic thing is Joseph Mazzello comes across this high-tech suit of armor that speaks.
Right.
And then Joseph gets into it, and then, he gets into a bunch of mischief, and I think there's even another robot that shows up later on, and he has to battle, his robot suit battles with that too, but he befriends this robot, and it's kind of like this charming adventure kind of movie.
It's kind of be like E.T.-ish.
And you know what? It's charming. I kind of I liked it a bit, but I don't know. Joseph Mazzello's got a funny looking face.
He's Timmy to me.
He's Timmy, whatever.
Forever and always.
Anyways, I didn't actually want to go into a big conversation about that. I don't know. Do we want to stick at a comedy kind of?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Fuck it.
I don't even really have. I actually don't even have many comedies.
No, it doesn't even matter.
Oh, I have a movie that no one's ever fucking seen.
Oh, please.
I didn't even know about it until they did a screening.
Lay it on.
It's called Motorama.
Nope.
Yeah, no, I didn't think so. I never even. So, COVID's been shitty, but before COVID hit, there was a cinema that's I know in Toronto, Royal Cinema.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing a lot of these events where they'd screen. There was these guys that hosted this series where they'd show these very obscure old movies, and it wouldn't even just be, and they would not even just be like obscure movies, but they were able to like borrow a 35 millimeter theatrical print from like the New York archives or like the Los Angeles, California archives.
Yeah.
Like they're theatrical prints, like they're worn out, but it's like probably the only copy that's around, or it might be the only way to see it in a good quality apart from a VHS transfer or whatever. But Motorama was one of those movies that was showing 35 millimeter. I never heard of it, and I was like, I'm gonna go see this. I'm just gonna see what it's about. And boy, was it was interesting. Basically, the point is, it takes place at some time. I don't know if it's supposed to be a future or not, but it seems like semi-post-apocalyptic. Sort of grounded in the modern 90s, but sort of post-apocalyptic. Might be just because they're in the desert or something. But but it's about this 10-year-old kid who's playing this game. Like those gas station contest things they'll have where it's like like lottery ticket things, or be like, collect these things and you can win the prize of up to this.
Okay, sure.
It's like kind of like a roll up the rim to win maybe thing almost, but
sure.
This thing is like collecting letters. So Motorama was a game, or would be a game where you had to go around and collect all the letters that spell Motorama from gas stations. And if you do, you win a certain cash prize. And it was considered to be an impossible game. Like, of course, come on, these games like McDonald's Monopoly and all these things that these fast food restaurants run, where no one ever freaking wins those.
No.
It's a 1 in a million chance. It happens, but it's very. You doubt anyone's gonna win. But this kid is determined. This 10-year-old kid, who for whatever reason he drives a Mustang. He's on his own.
What?
I think he left his family and then has a Mustang. He just goes across the United States or whatever in the desert. He's like gung ho about playing this game and winning it, so he can collect the cash prize. And so it's just this kid's misadventures and like encountering strange people. There's not really any huge names in it, but I mean there's familiar names like Jack Nance, who was actually the main guy in Eraserhead, and was actually a frequent actor in a lot of David Lynch's stuff. People know David Lynch stuff. Well, know Jack Nance for sure. Meatloaf shows up in it.
Oh, okay.
Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Nice.
He's an actor, and he always shows up Flea always shows up in a lot of obscure movies.
He was in The Big Lebowski. He played one of the I was gonna say Russians.
Was he like the guy who works at like the food stand?
No, he was one of the. He was with Peter Stormare. He was. Oh my God, why am I blanking right now? Sorry. He's one of the German nihilists. Sorry.
German nihilist.
Yeah, he played a German nihilist. He had like a hilarious.
But
accent.
I guess Flea, whenever he wasn't on touring Red Hot Chili Peppers, was always doing a lot of these film roles, and most of the films he's been in is obscure, and this is definitely one of those. But you come across these weird characters that would either be kind of like someone to be friends or someone that's like in danger to him, and it's just I think the weirdest part about Motorama is who it was made for, and that's probably, and it might play a big role in why it didn't really get marketed or distributed well, and why it's faded into obscurity is because you got a 10-year-old boy who's the main protagonist but this movie is not for it's not really for kids. As a matter of fact, there's a bunch of like, it borders on PG-13 to even R-rated at some point. The kid even swears in the movie, you know. It's just like a, and then like you know, there's a lot of like sexual references. I think the boy takes a pit stop somewhere at one point, and then this couple comes up to him and says, "Hey, do you mind if we do a quickie in your car?" And then they're just like rocking in the back seat of his car, and then but all the kid is focused on is like getting the Motorama letters, and he's like, "Yes." It's just like it seems adult, but it's like the kid's the main protagonist. And it's just like, who is this movie made for? I had no idea, but it's just like I would say almost like the Peanut Butter Solution. It's just one of those movies that's like, it's also just one of those movies where you just don't know who it's made for, but it's unique and very odd in a way where it's just like.
And all the ones you told me tonight, I can't even get a vibe on what you're talking about.
With Motorama?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I can't.
It's hard. Like, you have to watch it, but
I can't. I'm having trouble imagining this actually.
Just imagine a kid driving around in the desert and then stopping at gas stations and restaurants or pit stops or wherever, come across shady characters, and then all while trying to reach this goal of winning this gas station prize game. It's so bizarre. It's a great movie.
Actually, you know what? It kind of sounds like the startup of it. It kind of reminds me of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, like everything that Charlie was going through at the beginning. Like I don't know, or the Wiz. Oh no, not the Wiz. Sorry, the Wizard. The Wizard. Sorry, the Wizard.
I know you're trying to get close proximity to what the idea is, and I want to say like 5% maybe.
Okay, yeah, I have no fucking idea. I'll have to see a trailer. Yeah,
do you know what? That's what makes a movie like this alluring. You have to see it for yourself.
Send the trailer to me afterwards.
I think I also got a copy of that from Rare Lust, that website I mentioned. So
okay.
But you know, it's great when you can see an obscure movie like that has like. Because I saw it in a 35mm print in its original full aspect ratio. And sometimes a lot of these movies, if you do find a copy digitally, it's going to be some 4:3, maybe cropped kind of not so great DVD transfer. I found a copy that's all right, but man, I'll just tell you, if you ever follow whenever movie theater things are. I'm trying not to date this conversation, but I'm going to date this conversation inevitably.
That's okay.
But as soon as theaters are back into doing these programs where they play these obscure 80s, 90s
I mean, it should be, by the way. Side note, it should be, because like if Cineplex can fucking reopen, then these like niche theaters...
Like Review and Royal Cinema in Toronto do
Carlton. Well, I know Carlton's open, but I mean, they're doing new stuff right now.
But if it's an obscure movie you never heard of, and you're interested and you're open-minded and like being like, oh, I wonder what this weird movie could be.
Yeah.
Check these movies out, because it's a really unique chance and experience to see a movie that's never been widely released anywhere, and to see it in the best way possible until the day it ever gets a Blu-ray release, if it ever does or ever gets released.
Yeah.
Anywhere really, but Motorama from 1991, I believe.
91, okay.
So it's an early 90s movie,
91,
but
okay.
Yeah, check it out if you can.
Yeah. I got two here that actually they coincide really well together.
Go for it.
So, do you remember the company, the studio company called Caravan Pictures?
Caravan. I feel like if I knew what their logo looked like.
You know what it is? I can't confirm if they derived this image from Mary Poppins, but there's a shot at the end of Mary Poppins where like George Banks is walking to the bank and he knows he's gonna get fired, and there's a shot of him like walking down the street, and you're seeing the back of him, and he's like walking away from the camera, just in the middle frame. And
I see it.
Yes, and there's
I kind of recognize that logo.
Yes.
Oh, so it was founded in the early 90s.
Yes.
Oh, it was defunct by the end of the 90s.
Yes. And you know what was the last movie? Do you know what was the last movie?
What?
Which I'm surprised. I don't know the history behind it, but like their last credited film was Inspector Gadget, and that banked. That did well, man. That really did well. It was a stupid movie, but it did well.
Maybe offset some of the our costs, or maybe offset some of the other expenses that they had.
Maybe
didn't do enough. Didn't set them off enough. Like if they were like really in debt.
Because there was a lot of sub companies through Disney in the '90s. Like there was Touchstone and Caravan and other shit like that.
Isn't Amblin Entertainment?
No, Amblin that was Spielberg's company.
Yeah. Oh, but. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody seemed to say.
But Caravan was always. I always just remember seeing that logo for some movies growing up. Like Angels in the Outfield was like a big one. Actually, Angels in the Outfield is the one that I associate that company logo with because that was the first one I saw. Okay. But speaking of that, the producers and writers of Angels in the Outfield branched off and did 2 films that nobody talks about, and it's also under Caravan Pictures. Nobody talks about. You know about one of them because for ironic reasons, because of the poster. But the 2 films that I only know about that nobody fucking knows about are the first one is The Big Green.
Oh.
Poster.
I remember just that the big kid just getting blown away by a soccer ball.
That's Ham from The Sandlot. The one like you're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, because I didn't see Sandlot till many years later.
That's him.
I saw the Big Green first.
It's funny. Squints from The Sandlot is also in The Big Green.
Squints.
So yeah, like the one that kisses Wendy Peppercorn. He fakes his own death, drowned just to kiss a woman. It's so fun.
Did he squint a lot?
No, he kind of does, yeah, whatever. He has glasses, whatever.
Okay, wow.
But The Big Green, okay, if you've essentially seen The Mighty Ducks, it's The Mighty Ducks but soccer. That's all it is. It's The Mighty Ducks but soccer.
Sure,
It's just a bunch of ragtag kids that are they're not interested in playing sports, whatever. Then when they find their full potential, they work together as a team and they win the day. Blah, blah, blah. Paint by numbers, sports movie. There's a rival asshole coach, it's literally paint by numbers.
It's like the sports stuff can be kind of funny and kind of wacky in that weird 90s way.
Well, they speed up parts. They speed up parts with energy.
Oh, that kind of thing.
The Mighty Ducks had that. Where they make things go fast.
Remember that? Remember when they were chasing those kids in the alley? And
that's exactly what they do.
We got bored with this scene. Let's just speed it up.
They do, and what's funny about Mighty Ducks, they don't do another scene in that movie with that type of sped up energy. But the Big Green, they do it numerous times in this movie.
But Mighty Ducks, I remember just being even when there wasn't some wild scene going on, there was Emilio Estevez is good in it.
Gordon Bombay
is good in it. But
have you watched the Mighty Ducks Game Changers?
Is that with the new series that's on Disney Plus?
It's complete. I watched it all. It's complete Disney Channel fluff. It's kind of disposable, but the kids are kind of good in it, and it's nice to see Gordon Bombay reprise his role as kind of the second.
Well, Emilio Estevez, generally speaking, because he hasn't been anything in years.
It's true. Yeah. But it's cool that some old faces come back. Some old previous Mighty Ducks.
I can't say I'm.
It's okay.
I can't say I'm a big enough fan of Mighty Ducks to really say I want to watch a TV series. So
I was just
probably won't.
It was.
Maybe
I'll
check
short,
it out.
Whatever.
I might just check out an episode just because I think I just want to see what Emilio Estevez looks like.
Watch the episode where it's the Mighty Ducks reunion, where him and a bunch of all the younger ones all grown up.
Oh, I'll
all
just
make
watch
a cameo.
that. Sure.
Yeah, watch that episode. Fuck it.
But no, the Big Green.
Yeah.
I just remember when the Big Green. Whenever there wasn't a soccer match, everything else that happened in between, I remember just being boring.
It is kind of slow. Yeah.
It was slow. There wasn't even a lot
That's the thing. It's another one of these movies where the tone is not really that.
If you're gonna watch a good '90s soccer movie, watch Ladybugs with Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh my god, I know.
That movie's kind of creepy for various reasons.
Hey, what's that? You and I should watch it someday because it looks like a blast. But what's that crazy Korean movie where it's something soccer?
Shaolin Soccer.
Shaolin Soccer. That I've seen clips and I laughed so hard.
It's Stephen Chow.
Stephen Chow, that's his name. Yeah.
I think Stephen Chow did Kung Pao and the Fist.
Did he? I thought that was Steve Odekert.
Oh, I mixed up these names, damn it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I mean. It looks like it's in the same vein.
No, sorry. Stephen Chow did Kung Fu Hustle.
Kung Fu. Oh, okay.
Which was I can't remember that well right now, but
I saw clips from that soccer movie and I was laughing. It looks hilarious. It just goes so over the top that it's just oh my god, that looks great. Yeah. Anyways, the Big Green. I watched it so much as a kid, But it's one of those where it's like, it really died with age with me, actually. Like, there's some that, like, you know, speaking of The Sandlot, like, that got better. That might be, like, my favorite nostalgic film I've ever seen.
It's not really rooted in what was defined that decade. It was just kind of a timeless story.
Yeah.
Almost.
Steve Guttenberg's in it.
Because it's like because it's like not hard. It's harkening back to simpler times when times were different. You know.
It feels like there was a genuine story that they wanted to tell. Like there's a lot of focus on the kids, but it feels like some studio executives came in and be like, "You got to make this more zany. Speed up the motion. Play some wacky sound effects."
It was made to be disposable.
Yeah.
Disposable kids entertainment that wasn't made to stand the test of time. It didn't have the amount of care that something like The Sandlot had. So, I mean, yeah, if those movies were made to be disposable, then the fact that they don't hold up is very, very well suits what was intended in the first place. So, I mean, yeah, it's disposable.
I don't recommend it. But the other Caravan Pictures movie. This is a movie that I'm almost claimed it at this point because no one has ever fucking seen it. I show this to every single friend of mine. I'm not kidding. I've shown this to every fucking friend. First Kid.
Oh, you've mentioned this way back in the past with Sinbad.
Sinbad, yeah.
I've never watched it.
He plays like a hip, cool secret agent, a government agent that's now assigned to protect the president's son. And his president's son's very sheltered and doesn't really get out much. And then this movie, he takes him out, and that's kind of it. It's just one hijinks kind of scene after the other of them just trying to hang out over. It's funny. It's directed by the guy that did The Sandlot, David Michael Evans.
David Michael Evans. Okay.
David Mikey Evans.
Oh, I don't even care what his name is.
Whatever.
Sure.
But it's I recommend it because Sinbad's actually kind of charismatic in this movie. There's something about him that kind of screams that time of he's someone that I don't know if he might have had his own sitcom show, but every line
I think he did.
Every line he's saying, he's just really trying to please everybody. It has to be funny the way that he says it, or what he's saying has to be funny.
So, are you saying that?
I recommend
that it lands. That his joke, his humor lands, or is it just
It's a mix of him, just the kind of energy that he has, where he kind of
he's likable.
Oh, he's very likable. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
He's very likable, and he has his character always pulls out an excuse out of his ass just about anything. Oh, why are you wearing that funny looking tie? Oh, it's because of this. Da da da. He'll just name something. To get free donuts, he bribes a guy working at Dunkin' Donuts. He's we believe that there's some chemicals inside of these donuts. We need them for the bomb squad, but you need to be very careful with them. Okay, you need to get the one with the sprinkles. Oh, they love that. The enemies are real good with that. Okay, put it in the box there. Nice. Okay, put the next one in there, and then his boss catches him. And then in the middle of the scene, there's this woman walking really slowly with a cup of coffee. You think what's going on in the background here? It goes on for so long. Finally, she reaches him and she goes, "Here, sir, it's that explosive coffee, 2 sugars," and then she just runs away, and they're playing this as she's running away, and it's just
okay,
it's so fucking lame.
I don't even know. I'm trying to understand that, and I just think I need to see it for myself.
He's just making dumb excuses just to get free food or whatever. Oh, there's bomb in there, just give it to me. I'll handle it. I'm with Bomb Squad. I don't know.
Bomb Squad? Bomb Squad? What?
He's with the Bomb Squad. He can fucking handle it. It's not bad. It's watchable. It's lame, but it's not bad. It could be worse. I don't know.
Did you say it's almost like guilty pleasure, or would you say it's...
Oh, for me personally, it's
genuine. Would you say it's a genuinely good movie, or would you say it's...
I wouldn't say it's a generally good movie.
Genuinely.
It's not a genuine good movie. It's not a genuine movie that I would say it's good.
Sure.
It's more nostalgia at this point, but anytime I show it to somebody, they go, "Well, it didn't suck," and they shrug. And then they move on with their lives. That's kind of what all I have to say.
I probably had that response to several movies myself.
Anyways, what's another one?
All right.
What do you got?
What do I got?
I'm sorry, I went down like a Disney rabbit hole in the 90s just now. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, Disney.
Holy fuck.
Try to think. I got a film. Not a really obscure one. It was it's a really bizarre one. Called Get Crazy from 1983. So this is a film. It's directed by a guy named Alan Arkush. That name probably won't gel for most people, but he did another film called Rock and Roll High School.
I've heard of this.
And that movie was like, this high school, the high school, all these high schoolers are into rock and roll music, and there's this, like the adults are like, oh, rock and roll music is the devil, and these kids are all excited about the Ramones coming to play, and the Ramones actually show up in the movie.
Oh, cool.
Of course, they're terrible actors.
No.
They're not featured terribly. They're not heavily featured in it, but it's but generally the tone of that movie was like really like it was a comedic, chaotic, and a lot going on. And Get Crazy, which is directed by Alan Arkush as well, is like that too. The premise is it's New Year's Eve and this venue is holding this big music show that they hold every New Year's Eve, and they're gonna have all these guests coming. But there's this, so that's the main part of the plot. There's also this whole thing where there's this corporate greedy guy named Max, Max, that wants to buy out the venue, and he thinks he can buy anything, but then the owner's like, I don't want to sell it to you, and then there's this whole plot during the whole movie where he's trying to like get the place signed to him so he can demolish it and build one of his stupid skyscrapers. But all the while, there's this New Year's Eve show going on, and Daniel Stern is in it. He's one of the stagehands, and Malcolm McDowell is in it.
Oh, cool.
He's like a rock star.
Oh.
And so here's the weird thing about this show they hold in this movie. In this movie, because there's an audience that comes, and the audience is a mix of like new wave teens, hippies you would see at Woodstock. A whole
so
weird
wait,
crowd.
1980 what? Sorry,
1983.
Okay, so this is before Spinal Tap. Okay, because that's kind of what I was feeling. But is it not? It's not a documentary.
Oh no, it's like it's like a wacky comedy where they're holding this big New Year's Eve show, and there's all kinds of like weird rock and roll. There's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and in a really weird, energetic. There's so much going on in the movie. You're almost just like what? It's just like, oh my god, like it's like this weird performance going on stage. Now there's this guy in a leather cowboy suit that comes with a suitcase full of drugs, and everyone's taking drugs and everything. And then Malcolm McDowell's getting together with all these women in the bedroom and whatever, and it's just like fucking weird. It's all over the place, but it's just like it lives up to its title, Get Crazy. Like the movie gets crazy. It's one of those movies that honestly, you can sometimes describe a movie and give people a sense of what it is. Like I said, the only thing I can compare it to as far as the energy the movie has is Rock and Roll High School, but even I know that's a cult movie that hasn't been seen in often.
I know about it. I just haven't seen that one actually.
Yeah, but Get Crazy's like that, and I think you need to see it for yourself. And well, good news. That was a movie that was really hard to find too.
But then that site brought
actually, it just came out on Blu-ray.
Oh, okay. Oh, was it Vinegar Syndrome or?
I think it might have been Vinegar Syndrome. And matter of fact, it's supposed to be in the mail. I'm supposed to be ordering.
Cool.
Getting the mail, but
show it to me sometime, actually, please.
Sure.
I'm actually sold on this.
I'll say this: they did 35mm screening of that, and I took a friend who knew nothing about it. I will say that. Well, let me just say, I don't know if this friend was the right person to take to it, but he said he liked, he liked cult weird movies, and then he saw this movie, and he was just like, oh my god, I'm just exhausted. Okay, so much shit happened in this movie.
Lyle, I know you're listening, but this sounds like something up your alley.
Oh, Get Crazy is great.
This sound Ramones is.
It's very 80s, very bonkers. Oh no, wait, Lou Reed shows up in the movie as well. So yeah, Malcolm McDowell, Lou Reed, and Daniel Stern as big as the names as they get.
That's great.
Anyways, Get Crazy lives up to its name. If you like a really weird, zany rock music, almost like drug-induced kind of comedy movie, I guess that's how you describe it. So check out Get Crazy. It's a hell of a watch. Anyways, hey Cody.
No.
Hey Cody.
Yeah.
What you got?
Oh, but I was gonna tell you. Just keep going.
I don't want to keep. I'm gonna keep describing. I don't want to keep describing the same movie. Or are you going to tell me to describe another movie?
Tell me another movie.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Well, if you insist.
Sure. Okay. You know what? Let's see. I have some of them on here, but I don't know if I have a lot to say about them. But I just like them. They might be like almost like honorable mentions.
Why not?
Okay.
I got 4 more.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. One of these. Okay. As it's probably been established, if it hasn't already, I love action movies.
Oh, this is new to me, so okay.
But I know there's a string of these movies that came out in like the 90s or 80s where it's like, you get a teacher that starts at a school and then it's a school that's like run down and there's a bunch of gangs there and the students are bad. I mean, okay, there's a movie like, wasn't it like Freedom Writers with Hilary Swank?
Oh, yeah.
You get movies like that where it's like, okay, she's a teacher, teaching these students, and it's a drama, and she's got to win their heart.
Well, it's a complete rip-off. That movie's a complete rip-off of Dangerous Minds that came out a decade earlier with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, they're trying to win the attention of these students and trying to understand the background they're coming from. There's movies like that, except they're more like the teacher comes in is like a brute force with military background and takes down the gangs and there's actual action and shit.
Okay, I think I know.
There's a movie. Well, okay, there's a movie like that called The Principal from 1987 with John Belushi.
Okay.
James Belushi.
Okay. I'm thinking of the movie. You might say it. You probably won't say it.
But there's another movie.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Called The Substitute. From 1996 with
The Substitute.
Oh, I can't remember the guy's name.
The Substitute. I was actually thinking you were gonna say Major Payne for some reason.
Oh, I never seen that movie. But,
when you said military, guy.
Oh, Tom Berenger. It's got Tom Berenger.
Oh, okay,
Ernie,
Tom Berenger.
Ernie Hudson.
Is he the guy from Airplane? Oh no, that's somebody else.
I don't.
Tom Berenger. Oh no, he's from Major League.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, but anyways, he's a substitute with military background. And he's given this assignment that he's got to go to school that's crime-ridden, where he's got to he's got to be a substitute teacher. So, but then this guy, he teaches class, but he's also like he'll deal brute force to whoever defies him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's supposed to be a guy that's he's supposed to be like helping out, but it's also just like. He's like imposing on the turf of these gang, people dealing drugs in the school. He's imposing on them, and then it's just like anytime they try and ambush him, it'd be like you'll throw one of the guys out a window or something, or like shoot him or something.
Oh, and Ernie Hudson's in it.
I like these kind of movies like this where it's just like. It's supposed to be like a drama, but it also just infuses some kind of like dumb, mindless action into it.
So the kind of
let's help these. Let's try and help these students, but let's also go after the kids that are bad in the school and kind of like just gun them down or something.
So is he undercover? Is it like
kind of undercover?
So it's like a kindergarten cop situation.
Yeah, but like a violent, a more like R-rated thing.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Substitute is almost a guilty pleasure. I enjoy it. I think I just like the idea of a guy coming in and just cleaning up the mess. You know, it's like you gotta take out the posse. You gotta clean up the mess. You know, I find they're usually always kind of B movie level kind of movies, and I enjoy those. And I think there was a bunch of those in the 90s, and I can't even think of the names of the others because they were all generic. But that was kind of like a sub thing I want to talk about. What else do I got? Oh, you ever heard of the movie The Ambulance?
The Ambulance.
From 1990. It's got Eric Roberts. Do you know Eric Roberts?
Oh, yeah, I know Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts. James Earl Jones.
He's in that movie, The Best of the Best. Oh, which also has James Earl Jones in it.
Well, yeah, I mean...
That's funny.
Eric Roberts, I can't think of that many big movies he's been in, but he's had a lot of... Like, He's
the bad guy in the first Expendables.
Like you wouldn't have seen him in a lot of major motion pictures in the 80s and 90s, but maybe some of like the, you know, but you still would have seen him in commercial movies. Like there's like a bunch of movies he was in. Like he's kind of like a B-list actor maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, no, he was in I know him from a movie called Runaway Train, which was like with him and John Voight. They're like prisoner escapees that jump onto a train, but then the train ends up like I guess it ends up it's kind of like the taking of it's kind of like
taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3.
I was gonna say that, but it's also kind of like Speed, where it's like the train won't stop.
Oh, so Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. So it's like these prisoners like
Tony
escape
Scott
on this
movies.
train, but then also the train is unstoppable, and then it's like them conflicting about it. It's like, well, you know, we're supposed to be escaping on this. Do we just ignore the danger here, or do you actually try and help stop this train? You know, it's actually a really good movie. But
what's it called again? Sorry.
Runaway Train.
Runaway Train. Okay.
Yeah, it's very.
But what's the one? No. What's the other one that you said?
But this is in the ambulance. Got Eric
the
Roberts.
Ambulance.
Basically, okay. I'll tell you how this movie starts. Eric Roberts. It's in New York City. Eric Roberts is a guy in the street. He looks very nice. He's got a big mullet. But you know, I guess he has that Eric Roberts charm, which you'd only know if you've seen Eric Roberts movies. You know, he's kind of got that. He's kind of got that kind of wacky dialogue. You can tell. Okay, I'll tell you this. You could tell Eric Roberts was drinking for this whole movie because he's got this very bizarre kind of attitude. Actually, a lot of the characters do in this movie. Everyone seems very irritated in this movie. Like it's just how the characters are, you know. But anyways, Eric Roberts, you know, he sees this girl he's attracted to on the streets of New York, starts talking to her, and you know, barely chats up with her for a bit, but barely gets to know her. But then she passes out because she has some kind of condition, and some ambulance comes to take her. And you know, he's concerned about her, so you know, he goes to check up at the hospital, be like, you know, did a lady like this come in that looked like this and was in this condition? And,
yeah.
And it's like, this was her name, and they're like, we never heard of anyone like that. No one came in like that. So it's like, weird. Where did she go? And then, so you know, he tries to find out. He tries to find out where this girl is. Eric Roberts also in this movie happens to be a comic book artist, which doesn't honestly come into play that much in the movie, except when he's trying to look for this girl and give the police details on what she looks like. He's able to do these amazing drawings, detailed drawings. But anyways, he works for Marvel, and Stan Lee shows up in this movie as his boss. Of all the movies that Stan Lee back in 1990 would show up in, he shows up in this movie that has nothing to do with Marvel, really, or comic books or anything. But yet, for some reason, in this script, it was written that Eric Roberts is some comic book writer, and then Stan Lee actually shows up a few times just as his boss. It's not much more, not much more, but you also just took him back, and it's just like, oh, like, he's in this movie. Like, what the fuck?
That's strange.
But it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool little detail. But anyways, Eric Roberts also comes across the roommate, and then of the girl that disappeared, and then she disappears too. And then it's just like, well, where are these girls going? So there's this mysterious ambulance that's taking these girls, that's taking these victims away, but they're not going to hospitals. They're going somewhere else for experiments. And Eric Roberts is trying to find out where these girls went, and he's like trying to be detective here, and then tries to enlist the help of the police, which the police captain is James Earl Jones, and James Earl Jones just seems really irritated too. It's
See, this has a really good premise. I like this premise actually. Like I like that. Well, I know there's a cop.
Are you exhausted from everything I'm telling you?
No, I'm not. I'm actually genuinely intrigued.
Okay.
So he plays a cop, right?
Who?
Like Eric Roberts?
No, he's a comic book writer. He's just a comic book artist.
Okay, see, this sounds like Blowout. Like Brian De Palma's Blowout.
He kind
where
of
like someone who's kind of like not in like a detective profession finds out something kind of like, something's up here. I want
he becomes
a
like
self-detective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like these kind of ideas. If he's noticing that like when an ambulance takes people away, like this actually is a cool premise. I like that.
And so he's trying to sway the police, and then but everyone thinks he's crazy too. So the whole movie is just like him trying to he's trying to get help. Some people don't believe him, but then the people that do believe him, he's trying to enlist their help. Because he's like, something really crazy's happening.
Yeah.
And this movie has a lot of bizarre dialogue. It's like a thriller, a bit of a comedy because of the drunken, weird dialogue that Eric Roberts has. And James Earl Jones just seems like he's just like, I don't know if it's just part of his role, but he just seems like he deals with so much shit in his everyday life that he's just like frustrated, being like, oh fuck, man, whatever. Everyone seems irritated. Everyone's irritated in this movie, and I guess that's just the characters. Everyone, the police officers, anytime they have to help out Eric Roberts, they're just like, oh man, really? It's like, man, you're just making shit up. Or when he goes to the hospital and asks about details, or the nurses are just like, oh, I think you're overblowing everything. Whatever,
At least it's not the cliche, like. Captain screaming at everybody.
It's like no one believes him and no one really wants to help him, and so Eric Roberts really feels like a lot of time he's on his own.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's a bizarre movie that you get the action, you get the thriller stuff, and a bit of the comedy stuff, whether intentional or not. It's a really fun movie actually, and it's actually directed by a guy named Larry Cohen, who I'm actually a fan of. He did movies like
yeah, that sounds familiar, that name.
Well, he did a bunch of these other movies and no one really knows.
Larry Cohen. That name sounds familiar actually.
No relation to
Rob Cohen?
No.
Oh, thank Christ. I'm the only person in the world that hates Rob Cohen. He makes the worst.
I think he did serviceable movies early in his career.
But that's the thing, it's just serviceable. It's like surface
Fast
level.
and the Furious is fine.
Oh, that's a Point Break ripoff with cars. Fuck that movie.
Dragonheart was alright.
That's a fucking,
Shut the
lame,
fuck up.
It's a lame fantasy.
Oh,
he did Stealth. He did Triple X. He did fucking so many shit movies.
Oh, yeah.
He did the third Mummy movie. That sucked.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why I said, I'm talking about, up until, 2000, well, I mean, okay, I thought the Fast and the Furious and Triple X were, guilty pleasures, where I'm I know there's really dumb kind of shit action movies, but they fulfill that kind of adrenaline rush you maybe want, if you want, from those early 2000s action movies. They fulfill some kind of purpose. I'm talking about a movie, but,
oh, hang on. Larry Cohen. It's Alive sounds a little familiar. From 1974.
So I know a lot of his 80s movies. He did this movie, Q the Winged Serpent. There was this serpent dragon that's creeping around New York City.
Yeah.
That's a movie that no one really that's a movie no one really knows about too. That one's great. It's got David Carradine and this guy named Michael Moriarty who has I don't know how to describe his actor other than the fact that everything he almost sounds like he's sort of under anesthesia when he's speaking. He's just kind of like Dave after the dentist kind of thing, where it's almost wait.
I can't feel anything.
When almost what's coming out seems almost like nonsense.
I have 2 fingers.
He almost kind of reminds me of that.
Oh, that's so funny.
Maybe 1/4 of that.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
But no, that's an interesting movie. But he also did a movie called The Stuff, which was this thing where it's there was this yogurt that was being branded and all over America, but this yogurt, if anyone ate it, they turned into into these alien beings or these beings that wanted to destroy other humans. So it's like this guy and whoever else trying to say, listen, this yogurt is poisoning people, and then trying to stop, because this yogurt is called the stuff.
Yeah.
And everyone's obsessed with the stuff, and he's trying to stop the distribution of the stuff, because it's poisoning the minds and it's causing people to go really weird. But anyways, Larry Cohen has this trend of doing a lot of these weird kind of movies, I guess. But and I guess The Ambulance is no exception, but weird in a really good way. I can say of those three movies, which are the only ones I've seen of his, are all, at least I can very much say they're unique at very least, and they're entertaining. So if the ambulance sounds interesting, check it out. And if you like Larry Cohen stuff based on that, you can check out Q, the Winged Serpents, and the stuff.
Wow, you are just like hot fire right now. I haven't heard any of this shit.
You know what? It's called digging around.
Digging.
I guess you'll dig wherever you're curious. Like if you're looking for 80s stuff, you'll find 80s stuff.
I did that with like.
You'll do the 90s stuff.
90s stuff, yeah. Like what I do with Veronica sometimes is that before we watch, say for example, like an old Disney movie that's on Disney Plus, I'll throw on the VHS openings for these movies on YouTube. So we watched like the previews to kind of get like this old nostalgic feel, like throwing something on VHS. So we watch the previews of these movies and we go, okay, yeah, we heard of this. Oh, I haven't heard of that, and then we just quickly throw on the movie afterwards.
Right.
And there's one movie that I saw. It's not something I threw on my list, but it's something I talked to you about. A Low Down Dirty Shame. Like Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Keenan Ivory Wayans. Well, it's not really a name that
He's one of the Wayans brothers. It's another one of these like I'm the coolest guy, agent ever kind of movies. Gets with women, action movie, whatever. Like it's so forgotten and disposable, but it looks so like up my alley because like I don't care about that. I don't look for quality when I watch these types of movies. It's all just like I like to watch the time capsule and that feeling. Like that's kind of where I take on it. Yeah. I got one. Okay, we're jumping all the way ahead to 2010 with this one, actually.
Would you say we're coming...
We're close to the end. We're
pretty much near the end.
Yeah. It's home stretch. Home stretch.
Sure.
From 2010, Crazy on the Outside.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What?
I didn't think that movie was going to be on your list. What the fuck?
No one's ever heard of it, though.
You're talking about that direct-to-video Tim Allen flick.
It's his directorial debut of Tim Allen.
I don't remember you. I remember you talking about watching this movie, but you only talked about that stupid scene where he was green screen in front of a train, and then you were like, that was the only thing that was memorable, and you said you didn't really think anything else of it.
Oh, the movie, it's just him released from prison. It's Tim Allen. He's released from prison, and he just he goes back home with his sister, who's played by Sigourney Weaver. I guess like
Wait, Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah. Well, it's like a Galaxy Quest reunion going on here.
Wow.
And she's married.
That.
She's married to J.K. Simmons, and then he falls in love with some girl. It's lame. It's embarrassingly lame. The story, like this is embarrassing. Like Tim Allen should know better. Like to write and direct a better movie than this. But yes, anybody listening who's close to me, if they're curious enough to want to watch the train scene that Troy just mentioned from Crazy on the Outside, please inbox me and I'll send you the clip of this scene because it is so embarrassingly bad and hilarious that I was dying laughing for days.
I feel like it was meant to be hilarious though, right?
It's meant to be a joke, but it's executed so bad that that's what makes me laugh about it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I remember you telling me about that movie is you couldn't wait to show a clip of that because you're like, this is so stupid. And it was the only thing you took away from that movie for the most part.
Because I was rewinding it. I was laughing so hard. Like I couldn't.
Sure,
it was the best part of the movie.
I know it's a habit with you. Once you find a scene that's just absolute gold.
I exploit the fuck. I rewind the fuck out of it. Yeah, until I'm sick to death of it.
Well, I know you're the king of milking things.
I milk that teeter.
Till everyone hates you and
I
you
milk
hate yourself.
I milk that udder for all it has, baby.
That's gross, man. I don't approve of that. Sure, but whatever. What else did you want to say about Crazy on the Outside?
Nothing. I literally got nothing to say. I literally have nothing to
That's
say.
great.
So these next two are kind of like mockumentaries. They're fake documentaries, but I find them kind of fascinating. So one is a Pauly Shore is Dead. It's a mockumentary about...
Oh.
It's directed by Pauly Shore as well. So Pauly Shore, as we all know, is like that fucking mascot of the 90s. Like, just a guy that's on MTV going like, "Oh, weasel," you know, all this
A guy that was known for just being obnoxious.
Obnoxious. He started
appealing to like the stupid.
Encino Man. Biodome was like the death of his career.
I can't even watch. That's a movie I refuse to watch.
Oh, Pat and I tried to watch it. We shut it off. We were done.
It looks like something that just.
Encino Man is the only one worth watching. That's actually a gem.
Well, Encino Man, because Encino Man has other big qualities besides, but Pauly Shore is not the main character in that. But when Pauly Shore does show up, he just says the most weird 90s nonsense.
Oh, I disagree. When Brendan Fraser and him are together, it's the best part of the movie. I love it. It's great. But anyways, sorry.
I'm sure, okay.
But Pauly Shore is Dead came out in 2003, so this was after like his just drawn out, like he made a failed sitcom at the end of the 90s, and it didn't even get picked up. The pilot was like the lowest rated thing on Fox, like legit. And the movie centers around that bit where Pauly is he's basically making fun of himself in this, and that's what I appreciated about the film. Like, it's not. I think Lyle said it best when I showed them this movie. It looks and the feel and the filming style feels like you're watching like a very early episode of like Curb Your Enthusiasm. Okay. Like it's direct to video and it looks very cheap. But I think the concept behind it about like someone making fun of how they're a washed up actor but incorporating that into a narrative is kind of fascinating, where he's like just saying, I failed at this sitcom, my agents want nothing to do with me, then I'm just gonna fucking kill myself. And then he wants everyone to like praise him afterwards. So you get all these talking heads with people talking like genuine stories about how, like, you know, Pauly was so funny at the comedy club that his family owned at the time, and that he was like really nice. So just trying to get like the idea when like you die, you are more praised. But there's a catch. Pauly faked his death in this movie, and when news comes out that he faked his death and he goes to prison, everybody turns it around, and it's genuine talking heads of people talking about how much he is a hack of a comedian. He steals people's comedy bits.
Did he actually go to prison?
No. That's part of the narrative, but the talking heads are genuine. Of people that know him, kind of frenemies, kind of people that aren't so fond of him, some people that are kind of fond of him, just talking about shit about him. Like, that's what I mean. It's kind of blurring the line between like reality and actually genuine venting about somebody.
It almost, as you were talking, it almost just like I forgot you said this is mockumentary. It almost sounded like
it feels like it's made to look like a documentary, but that's right. The funny thing is that like it does indulge so much on the narrative that it's like, why even make this like a documentary? Just make it a movie. Yeah. But I get a kick out of it because it's kind of lame and stupid, whatever. But
well, no, actually,
the concept is interesting.
Sounds fun. I actually want to check that out.
You should. It's free on YouTube. You should check that one out.
That's the first movie you mentioned tonight that actually seems interesting.
Yay!
Everything else he says kind of sucked.
The other documentary. Well, yeah, I got like a lame taste. This is like niche shit.
It's alright. Someone's always gonna have the better taste, you know.
You.
Yeah. Even I can't even say that with a straight face. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah? Question mark?
Yeah.
The other mockumentary I have it's called A Complete History of My Sexual Failures. What a title that is.
Is this something that came out recently?
2010. It was in the 2010s or something.
Oh, okay, no, that's earlier than I thought. Okay, so I've never heard of that.
It's about a guy who, he's the most deadpan guy ever. Like, it's about a guy that literally is trying to get in contact with all of his like exes, and he's had like tons of girlfriends, and he's just trying to figure out like where I went wrong. And he's like so depressed and such a deadpan like just pathetic loser. Like, there's one part that literally, like, I was watching this by myself, and, like, I literally bursted out laughing at how funny this was, where he's interviewing an ex, and she wanted to remain anonymous, so she said, okay, I'll just film myself behind a curtain, and all I'm going to do is type on my typewriter, and it's going to read out loud what I'm saying, because she really doesn't want to be shown on this at all, right? So he's asking her questions, were there anything great about our relationship or whatever? She types, like, our trip to Paris was very nice. And then he goes, okay, why did you dump me? And then it's just her typing. and typing. And typing. And it cuts to a wide and he's just sitting there like looking around and she's still typing. And I just remember laughing my ass off. Like she writes a fucking novel and then like reads it out loud. Like it doesn't go anywhere. It's kind of forced on how it resolves the ending because it's obviously fake. But like I found the guy's deadpan expression to be something at a value, and like no one's ever heard of this, and I've never seen a movie like that before, and it kind of gets a bit of an honorable mentioning, I guess. Sure. So I don't know. It's okay. What's the one that? Okay, home stretch. What's the last one? Then I'll tell you my last one.
Okay.
Because we've been going on for a while, but I like this.
Okay, I think I got one. Okay.
Yeah.
It's called The Changeling.
The Changeling.
Not anything to do with Angelina Jolie's Changeling from 2006.
Okay. No, that's not what I was thinking.
It's
but
a movie from 1980.
Okay.
With George C. Scott. He's like this guy. He's I believe he's like he's a pianist. He's like a musician.
Uh-huh.
You know, his family dies from an accident at the beginning, and he's trying to cope with it, but he still wants to move on. So he rents out this house to stay in. It's like a really big house to just stay in and focus on his musical studies and whatnot, and recuperating. And then it seems like the movie starts off as seeming like it's a haunted house kind of thing. Like he hears noises in the house, like there's someone in there. But it's like it might be something supernatural. And you think, okay, well, is this gonna be like the supernatural force trying to stalk him and kick him out of the house? It seems like that, but it goes that way. But it also then becomes a movie where he tries to find out who it is, and then as he tries to find more clues, he discovers ideas of why these noises are happening. He discovers more things, and he discovers the past about the house and what happened in the house, and apparently someone was murdered. And now he's like, could that be could that be who's trying to communicate with me? And then it almost becomes like a mystery movie of him trying to find out what happened in the house and what is the house trying to tell him to find.
Okay.
So it's like a supernatural kind of horror, kind of thriller mystery movie.
Okay, so I was getting scavenger hunt kind of vibes.
It's really good. It's really well, because I knew nothing about it going in, and the fact that it turned from just a supernatural horror to like a mystery kind of thing. It's almost like instead of being haunted by the spirit, he's trying to help the spirit of the house. I thought that was a really good subversion of expectations.
Nice. And
I thought that was, and it ended up being a really effective movie. I really liked it.
Who directed it?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know if it was a known director. Yeah, it's a psychological horror film by a guy named Peter Medek. I don't know who that is. But so
that's actually one you'd recommend.
I absolutely recommend it. It's a really good movie.
Okay.
And I think it was just one of those things where I think I watched might have been one of my 80s video cassettes where I saw trailers before it. I always discover the obscure movies through the strangest or most coincidence. Like it's never like I'm seeking after it. It just pops out of nowhere from YouTube or something, or in the recommendations on some video or VHS tape, like I said. But
yeah,
I always find that those are the most exciting things to find. It's just like you get a glimpse of something that could be great, and then if you watch it and it turns out to be great, it's like, wow, it's almost like you found a piece of a treasure map, and then you end up dissecting the rest, then you end up finding the rest of the map, and then going to find the treasure, and it ends up being real treasure. Then you're like, wow, I struck gold. It feels great. And this is like one of those movies where it's a really great psychological horror movie. Absolutely, go check it out. The Changeling.
Changeling. All right.
1980. And so you got one more?
I got one more. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
So growing up, I coincidentally had just whatever VHSs that my mom just so happened to just, throw at me, whatever she bought.
She threw VHS tapes at you?
Literally ran at my face. That's the abuse that I went through.
Boy, I've heard many types of abuse, but that's the first I've heard of that type.
She's like, be rewind and rewind, motherfucker. Ow, fuck.
You were gonna say be rewind. You were gonna say be rewind and be. I knew you were gonna reverse it.
That's some dyslexia.
I caught you doing that.
That's dyslexia if I ever heard it. Oh my god. No, and a collection of these movies that I didn't even know were written and produced by John Hughes until I was much older, and I didn't know coincidentally I had all these. Like everyone has seen, all of the movies that he did in the '80s, like all the teen movies, all National Lampoon, like. But then after the success of Home Alone, he seemed to just be like, well, I'm just going to do that formula all the time for the rest of my career.
Well, he also didn't really direct.
He didn't direct that much either.
He had a lot of writing credits in the 90s.
Writing and producing, yeah.
As far as I know, I'm trying to think. Did he direct the movie called Peggy Sue?
He did. That was his last directed movie.
Yeah, that's the last. I've never seen that one, but that's the last.
But
that's
from
the latest one I knew.
From Home Alone 2 and I guess to Home Alone 3, I had like all these like fucking Home Alone knockoffs that he just did. Where it's like you follow some innocent blonde kid or whatever, like Dennis the Menace, or
Ooh, yeah.
or even animals, like like whatever. Or I know Flubber's not an animal, but like whatever. But the 101 Dalmatians remake.
Flubber's a flubber. What the fuck?
Where there's like either a pet or even Beethoven, like there's a pet and then they're an innocent child and they're fending off crooks.
Oh yeah.
And like bad slapstick ensues,
Sure.
like those types of movies.
All right, so what's the movie?
Everybody knows about the ones that I just name dropped, except for Baby's Day Out.
No, I know of that movie.
Baby's Day Out. This movie's cute. I don't give a fuck. It's dumb. It's so dumb, but it's cute.
I assume this is definitely guilty pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah. I've not seen the movie for myself, but I've watched. I've seen the trailer before, and I'm pretty sure I saw an early Nostalgia Critic review of it.
No, I think it was Plinkett. And Mr. Plinkett did it, yeah.
Oh, I mix them up, I swear. Maybe Plinkett did do it.
Yeah.
But it does seem like it's like Nostalgia Critic we have covered.
I don't think he did cover it. I don't know. I haven't seen him in years.
Well, me neither.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like early shit, like 2010s. But anyway,
the baby's
but
being.
From what I saw, I'm like, this looked like an obnoxious, like slapstick kind of.
It is.
Movie.
It
looked obnoxious. That's why.
Joe Mantegna's in it, like Fat Tony. It's basically the Three Stooges, only with a baby. Like he's the leader of this like. Ragtag of
like
three guys.
Stooges if it was trying too hard.
Oh, it is trying way too hard.
Yeah.
The guy from The Matrix, the villain Cyrus, whatever his name is.
Joe Pantoliano.
Him, yeah, he's the other guy.
Yeah.
There's some other guy. There's the three crooks. They kidnap this baby and hold him ransom, and then the baby ends up like getting away, and then the baby. It's weird how it's like the nanny was reading this like storybook to the baby at the beginning where it was just called Baby's Day Out, and it was just them on an outing like in the city and all that, and he starts to like see things in real life that are like identical to like his storybook, so he just follows that. The baby just knows that. It just crawls its way to like, dangerous location to dangerous location, and it's always like, oh no, it's gonna die, whatever.
Oh, okay.
And then like, the bad guys get like, it's all pratfall after. But there's a shot in this movie that's like burned into my memory. It's like the most cinematic, striking shot I think I've ever recalled from my childhood that like, I guess, I don't know what it says about me if it formed me to be a filmmaker, but basically it's Joe Mantegna. Like they're at a construction site.
Oh yes.
And they're on the highest like point, and he gets like all this like, I don't know what it was. It was some mixing, like cement mixing on him, and he's trying to like climb down. And he's on this like crane swinging onto it, and then it's at the end of the day, and all like the workers that they go home and they lock the gate and all that, and it's at sundown, and there's just like this striking wide shot of him silhouetted up against the backdrop of it being the sun going down, and it's just him swinging there, and he's like screaming to the other guys like, "Have you seen the baby? I can't see it!" Like all this shit, and I just remember like looking at that shot. I'm just like, "Fuck, that shot's so nice looking for this movie." Like as a kid, like I don't know, it's just like this weird thing where like. And I didn't see it till years later, but the only thing I remembered was that visual, and it was just as like beautiful as I recall.
You can say every movie has moments
Yeah.
or moment, singular.
But it's dumb though, man. It's dumb at points. Like there's a part where like the baby's out and about, whatever, and then like there's this news anchor that's out in the street going like, oh, a baby has been like, abducted and all that stuff. The baby crawls underneath her and like yanks on her like mic cord, and she drops it, right? And it's weird how she doesn't like look down to pick it up. She just like reaches around, like not looking where the things, and the camera pans down. The cameraman pans down live on TV, right? And shows the baby. And at that exact moment, the mother of the baby, played by I forget, it's the best friend of Laura Palmer from Twin Peaks, her best friend.
Oh,
she's also from Wayne's World. She plays Wayne's crazy girlfriend. Anyways, she's the mom. She looks away at that point at home while she's like crying, like the baby's being abducted. She looks away at that exact point that the cameraman pans down and it shows her child, right? Like the baby, right? And as a 6-year-old me, I'm thinking to myself, well, just because she looked away, this is live on TV. Wouldn't everybody be seeing this live on TV? Even the camera guy, right? I always nitpick that, even as a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, whatever. And then I see the Plinkett review years later, and he points out the exact same fucking thing. I'm like, thank you. I'm not the only person out there that fucking noticed that. Oh, it's funny. I don't know if I would recommend it, to be honest. I'm like worn out at this point.
I understand.
There's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff we covered tonight. It's okay. Whatever.
A lot of these movies, they may be obscure, either obscure or just forgotten, and it's either unjustly so or reasonably so.
Yeah. But you know what, dude? I'm happy I had you on here. Like, you are an expert at finding the rarest of the rare.
Oh, I try to find good examples. Believe me, I've watched a lot of rare stuff, and I'd say, I'm trying to think of a percentage, but I'd say like not even half of those end up being like it's like you're gonna find diamond in the rough here and there, but a bunch of them are gonna be there's a bunch of them are honestly mediocre. Like they might be interesting concept. Like I might be like, I don't know, like a movie called Ghost Warrior from the 80s. I'll tell you, for example. It's a resurrected samurai ghost, and then he ends up roaming around the city and killing a bunch of like hoodlums. But I can't say anything else other than that. It's like, that's it. There's nothing else to the concept. It's very middling. I can't even recommend it because it's just like beyond the concept. There's fucking nothing there. And there's most of those movies I watch that are obscure, they're like that. But then every once in a while you'll get something where I'm like, this is a legitimately good concept. There's legitimately good production here.
Yeah.
And it's just either forgotten or just for various reasons. And it's just like it should be rediscovered again, you know?
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
We shouldn't just be like, sticking too much with like the norm. Like
it's easy. It's easy too. I get it.
I'm the type of guy that's like, I don't care if it is like, whatever it is, mainstream or independent or old movie, new movie, fucking obscured thing. I just like to watch whatever has an appeal to it. I'm a sponge.
Mainstream stuff. I mean,
I'm a sponge. I don't care.
New mainstream stuff, I'm very picky with. You have to really persuade me, but I think I'm much more fun in digging up old treasures or obscure treasures than seeking easily accessible.
That's why I have you around.
Sure.
Thank you, Troy. This was fun. This was
Sure.
a lot of fun. Thank you for bringing my attention to these. This is good chatting with you.
I drank so much beer now and I have to pee.
And everybody listening, definitely listen to More So to Speak and Pop Talk and subscribe and I'll see you on the next one. Hey Troy, have you ever seen Dunstan Checks In?
No, and I don't really want to.
Oh. Well.
I don't want to watch a movie about a funky monkey.
It's a movie about a monkey in a hotel. Where have you ever seen that before? Exactly.